Part 19. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 181. Being an artist is difficult, and being an artist couple is even harder. You have to hide from the media, the paparazzi, and the camera, for fear of being exposed and making crazy fabrications. Like Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu, it has been many days since the end of Crystal Love season. This is their first meeting. They are obviously looking forward to this meeting, but Gu Huiyan's car could only be parked downstairs. He didn't dare to get out of the car, let alone go upstairs. I'm afraid that people will recognize me and say it's just hype. I miss you as well. Gu Huiyan held the phone in his arms. To be honest, when Pei Jingshu said I miss you just now, he almost went upstairs on impulse. He said, "It's okay, it's okay. Anyway, we can meet after the show tonight. I'll be waiting for you backstage, Pei Jingshu's character is not the kind of little girl who needs to be coaxed. She is sensible and heartwarming, but she is a girl after all, and she can be very emotional occasionally." She nodded vigorously, and the way she pursed her lips and tried not to shed tears was heartbreaking. "It's almost done, I'm leaving soon." Over there, Pei Jingshu's agent's sister came over to call her, probably going to the studio. "Wait a moment." Pei Jingshu waved her hands and said a few words. How could she just hang up the phone like this? Even though she knew she could meet in person soon, she still couldn't bear to hang up the temporary phone call. "Go quickly." Fortunately, Gu Huiyan was more sensible and said with a smile, "Don't make people wait." Pei Jingshu nodded slightly, wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, and said, "I'm leaving." "Good." Although Gu Huiyan nodded, he did not hang up the phone. Pei Jingshu didn't die either. "Why, don't you hang up?" Pei Jingshu asked. Gu Huiyan smiled helplessly. Pei Jingshu couldn't bear to worry, so how could he bear it? "Oh, I'm really convinced of you too." Pei Ya couldn't wait any longer. Who could fall in love with someone as sticky as the two of them? Master Biener is full of dog food, okay. It's too greasy. Where are the gardenias blooming here, you two? She grabbed Pei Jingshu's cell phone and hung up. "Quickly. Call the makeup artist to come over and touch up Pei Jingshu's makeup. Eye makeup is so important," she almost cried just now. "I'm warning you." While touching up her makeup, Pei Ya said, "You can meet tonight, you can have a meal, but you can't go out to live, do you hear me?" Hearing this, a blush appeared on Pei Jingshu's fair and tender face, her eyebrows furrowed slightly, and she waved her hand and said, "Sister, what are you talking about? I'm doing this for your own good." Pei Ya spoke in a serious and thoughtful tone. As for Pei Jingshu, who is a lover, she was really afraid that Gu Huiyan would abduct her and get a room after just a few words. She could see that Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu were sincere, but after all, they had only known each other for a short time, and they had been together for a long time. She could not completely hand over her sister, who was guarded like a jade, to Gu Huiyan before she fully understood her. Those words were shameful to say to Pei Jingshu. The other side. "Let's go." After hanging up the video, Gu Huiyan smiled bitterly and asked Zhang Nuan to drive to the Qingtai backstage. They drove directly in, and Pei Jingshu sent him a pass in advance. Because there was a competition for the King of Singers, some singers' family members would also come to the show, and the program team would occasionally send some private live broadcasts to the singers. Tickets and the like. Of course, they don't have the right to vote, they just go to the show. When Gu Huiyan arrived, there were a lot of people backstage, and luckily there were a lot of people, all waiting in line to enter. Gu Huiyan put on a mask, hat, sunglasses, and blended into the crowd with his assistant Zhang Nuan. No one really recognized him along the way. Come out. So in fact, celebrities are not so easy to recognize offline if they deliberately conceal their appearance. It is worth mentioning that when entering the venue for ticket inspection, Gu Huiyan took out the pass given by Pei Jingshu. The ticket inspection staff member's eyes lit up and he immediately called several staff members over. He took Gu Huiyan in first and asked Gu Huiyan who invited him. Gu Huiyan didn't dare to open his mouth for fear of being recognized, but Zhang Nuan said it was Pei Jingshu who invited him. As soon as the staff heard this, they immediately put on a smiling face and enthusiastically led Gu Huiyan and Zhang Nuan into the studio. The seats were still. First row. The middle position. The location is so conspicuous that if you spend money to buy it, you won't be able to get it without tens of thousands. Speaking of which, it's strange to say that the last time Gu Huiyan came here, he was standing on top to help sing. After sitting down, Gu Huiyan was quite honest. He didn't cause any trouble or talk to the people around him. He just sat there and waited silently. For someone like him, no one would associate him with Gu Huiyan's lively eyes. Zhang Nuan sat on his right, and after a while, two slender girls came to the left. They didn't seem to be the singer's friends, but they were probably members of the audience who had paid to come in to watch the scene through their connections. The two of them were chattering excitedly. They were talking about whose performance tonight was worth looking forward to, and who was taking some photos with whom. It is worth mentioning that during their chat, they talked about Pei Jingshu's singing song Little Lucky Tonight, and also said that she had always liked Gu Huiyan and was his fan. They probably never imagined that their idol was sitting next to them. The two girls occasionally looked to the side and were curious when they saw Gu Huiyan, who was wearing a mask, sunglasses, and a hat, but they didn't think much about it because they didn't know him. Who could have imagined that Gu Huiyan would suddenly arrive at the studio of Time Singer without any warning? A few moments. Audiences came in one after another. The studio began to become lively. After a while. Debugging lighting equipment on site. The debugging is completed, the time is 8 p.m., and the program will start on time. Hello everyone. Host He came on stage and started the process. Tonight is actually a live broadcast. After all, it is a competition for the king of singers. Generally, the finals of such large-scale programs are live broadcasts. As soon as it started airing, the barrage was flooding. Sister Pei. I want Sister Pei. Gu Huiyan, no matter what, your Sister Pei is mine. Hitui. The old man is going to die. Kill Gu Go and rape Sister Pei. Pei Jingshu is so popular that more than half of the comments in the live broadcast room are discussing her. But she didn't appear so soon. She was lucky enough to get in the middle almost every time she performed. Some people even said she was a koi before. Unfortunately, this nickname was too cute and not suitable for the cool and cold Pei Jingshu, so it was not marketed in the end. After completing the process, the competition begins. To be honest, this was the first time for Gu Huiyan to watch a live performance. He was poor before. Not to mention concerts, he had never been to a music festival live house. At most, he had been to the bar where the resident singer was performing. Needless to say, listening to music in such a professional studio is so enjoyable. The sound is surrounded by 3D. When each singer performs, their voice seems to appear directly in your mind through your ears. Because there was no need to vote, Gu Huiyan seemed a little idle during some voting sessions. With nothing to do, he simply took a look at the system. He was wondering, for such a stage, which one is more important, the timbre or the singing skills. In fact, Gu Huiyan felt that the timbre was more important, because he felt that there were several singers at the scene who sang well, such as Zheng Yunbin, but he just felt that his voice was not very catchy and unrecognizable. This thing is really a gift from God. Watching and watching. Suddenly, Gu Huiyan slipped his hand. Walk. Accidentally, I added a level of timbre. Originally, his voice was upgraded to LV5, and then 6,000 points were needed to upgrade to the next level. Recently, I plan to save the points to write new songs and release an album, so Gu Huiyan has been reluctant to use them. Now it's good, I have earned more than 6,000 points in one go, and my tone has reached LV6. At that time, Gu Huiyan was so dumbfounded that he didn't expect that the 6,000 points he had worked so hard to accumulate could be used up so easily. It even hurt his body. It was at this time. Let us welcome the next competing singer, Pei Jingshu. Host He You called Pei Jingshu's name. Oh! There was a burst of cheers. Gu Huiyan's attention was also attracted to the other side of the stage for a moment. Just add more. Anyway, it was used on himself and not wasted. It was at this time. The female singer Pei Jingshu, who was very delicately dressed in a long tube-top dress, walked slowly towards the stage entrance. The moment she appeared, many people at the scene shouted crazy. The barrage is also crazy. Sister Pei. Sister Pei. He, Sister Pei, he. Wow, her face is really amazing. Every time I look at it, I never get tired of it. God, Jingshu opens her mouth, she's here to eat, Let's just say that Sister Pei's face is so impressive that each of her facial features is hard to choose individually, but it's just that such a perfect combination of facial features is combined on the same face. Some people jokingly said that Pei Jingshu's face itself is unfair to other singers. She is just a vase, and she is a vase that has the strength not to break. Doesn't this bully honest people? Gu Huiyan in the audience couldn't help but applaud. In fact, occasionally when he saw people around him yelling, Gu Huiyan would want to say, "This is my girlfriend." Pride. Pride. Amidst the shouts, on the stage, Pei Jingshu finally came to the center of the stage. What's worth mentioning is that she can't help but glance down the stage where Gu Huiyan is sitting. Although Gu Huiyan covered her head tightly, she knew that it was Gu Huiyan. It wasn't telepathy, it was because that position was arranged by her. Netizens noticed this detail, but no one thought much about it. They probably just thought Pei Jingshu was looking at the teleprompter. The teleprompter is also there. Center stage. Pei Jingshu bowed slightly in the direction of the audience. Originally, after bowing at the stage, she gave the band teacher a signal to start singing. However, before the singing started, Pei Jingshu picked up the white microphone she often used and said, "Author. Today I bring you a new song." Pei Jingshu's voice is quite pleasant, but what she is talking about is not new. The whole internet has known that she is going to sing Little Lucky. But her next sentence ignited the whole room and all the viewers watching the show. Her watery eyes looked at Gu Huiyan from a distance. She pursed her lips and smiled, her pretty face turned red, holding back a little shame, and said, "This song. My boyfriend wrote it." As soon as these words came out, then, "Oh. Sister Pei." The scene and live broadcast room all exploded in an instant. Even the singers backstage couldn't help showing helpless and envious expressions. Listen to what people say. "I brought you a song that has topped the charts on all major music platforms, and this song was written by my boyfriend. High-profile show of love. Sprinkle sugar generously. This wave of dog food. It's just Pei Jingshu who is spreading the news alone." But he directly opened everyone's mouths and stuffed them in. "No, are you still bringing someone who is such a loser?" Netizens couldn't stand it anymore and couldn't help but express, "This is worse than killing me." Okay, I already know it was your boyfriend who wrote it, can you please stop talking about it? No, Sister Pei, did Gu Lulu teach you this? My Sister Pei doesn't seem like someone who would say such things. Pei Jingshu, I just want to show my affection, can't I? What does it have to do with him? At Gu Huiyan, yellow character, Gu Lulu, You kid, go to the big room and talk. Some people may wonder, but let's just say that Pei Jingshu is shy. In everyone's impression, she would not say such words easily even if she was in love. What is it today? Show affection in public? It's just weird. The viewers who really couldn't figure it out had to point the finger at Gu Huiyan. All the changes in Sister Pei after she fell in love with Gu Huiyan must be because of this old six. No matter, it's Gu Huiyan's fault anyway. Off stage. Covered by sunglasses, a mask, and a hat, the corners of Gu Huiyan's mouth couldn't stop rising. They were eating melon, but Gu Huiyan knew that Pei Jingshu's words were meant for him. People say that a short break is better than a new marriage. Although they were separated not long ago, the longing is very strong. Maybe if there weren't so many people there now, Pei Jingshu would have run to him and hugged him. What she said just now was a bit. It means expressing my longing to Gu Huiyan. Understand? Gu Huiyan understands. Under their sunglasses, their eyes had actually collided with each other many times in mid-air. It is not difficult to imagine that Pei Jingshu's words will make him a hot search again. Little Lucky is for everyone. After finishing the show, she endured the shame and gave the signal to the band teacher. The lights gradually dimmed. The show begins. Ding dong dong. The sound of the guitar advanced, and other instruments came in one after another. The acoustics in the studio were very good, and a gentle and slow feeling emerged spontaneously. Oh! Many people at the scene were a little excited. This was really the first time that Pei Jingshu sang Little Lucky live. This song has recently topped the new songs and hot song lists of various music platforms. Almost everyone knows this song. How nice it sounds. Some may even want to sing along. The sense of anticipation is brewing to the extreme at this moment. I hear raindrops falling on the green grass. I heard the end of Get Out of Class bell ringing in the distance. But I didn't hear your voice, seriously, calling my name. What we are saying is that this woman Pei Jingshu is really chased by God to feed her, and God opens the door and kicks open the window. She is so beautiful, so temperamental, and has such a good voice. In terms of talent, she is simply envied by countless people. But as soon as she opened her mouth, the whole place started shouting, "Okay." Many people had goosebumps. Even Gu Huiyan clearly has the skills. No wonder Pei Jingshu can make it all the way to the King of Singer competition from so many professional singers. Her performance is so stable. It's not like he has never heard of Pei Jingshu's live performance, but every time he listens to it, he will be amazed again. And just at this moment, Pei Jingshu looked in his direction and sang. I didn't understand feelings when I fell in love with you. It's only after parting that I feel unforgettable. Why didn't I realize that meeting you is the best thing in life? To be honest, the song Little Lucky shouldn't resonate with Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu. After all, it is a song about youth, with a bit of sadness and regret in it. But in some lyrics, I feel like they can find their own characters. For example, the sentence just now, performed by Pei Jingshu, seemed to be saying that the separation from Gu Huiyan during that time was unforgettable. For them, who had just met a few days after their long-distance relationship, it was quite emotional and touching. In the past, it was Gu Huiyan who sang Want to See You and Light Chaser to Pei Jingshu. This was really the first time Pei Jingshu sang Little Lucky to Gu Huiyan. Maybe I was too busy smiling and crying. Busy chasing shooting stars in the sky. It's natural for people to forget. Yes, who has been in the wind and rain? While singing, Pei Jingshu found that some audience members couldn't help but sing along. She thought about it and handed over the lyrics of the last verse. Then came the chorus. Silently guard where you are. It's time for the chorus. Because she sang for the audience, Pei Jingshu was now very close to Gu Huiyan. She suddenly wanted to take this opportunity to get closer to Gu Huiyan, so she walked over, bent slightly, and handed the microphone out, planning to hand out the chorus as well. Originally, she planned to let the two little girls next to Gu Huiyan sing, so she took the opportunity to take a few more glances at Gu Huiyan. Who knew that Gu Huiyan, the old man, had misunderstood? He thought Pei Jingshu wanted him to sing. Because he was so anxious, something unexpected happened. He didn't have time to think about it, and he was forced to take over the singing. At the moment when the chorus came, he sang to Pei Jingshu. It turns out you are the lucky one I want to keep the most. When the first sentence came out, the whole audience was stunned. Many people looked at each other, their expressions seeming to say, "Am I hallucinating? Why does this sound like Gu Lulu's voice? Sounds so familiar." It turns out that we and Love were once so close. When the second sentence came out, everyone in the audience couldn't help but cast their eyes on Gu Huiyan, and even the camera panned to Gu Huiyan. Yes, it's him. Looking at the entire domestic entertainment industry, there is no other male singer with such a loud and recognizable voice. That voice in reverse war. The decision to fight the world for me, the rain that accompanied me. When the fourth sentence came out, maybe it was a little slower, or maybe everyone recognized Gu Huiyan. Oh. Ah. Gu Lulu, you kid. Why the hell are you here? Ah. The live audience and netizens in the live broadcast room exploded collectively. Every scene is you. During the fifth sentence, the whole audience shouted so loudly that they could hardly hear Gu Huiyan's voice. Who would have thought that Gu Huiyan would come to see Pei Jingshu's singer competition, right in the audience? No wonder Pei Jingshu kept looking in the direction of the audience just now, and specifically said that the song was written by her boyfriend. It turned out to be like this. It turned out that Gu Huiyan was sitting under the stage. Her eyes were always on him the whole time. Okay. Everyone can't help but want to say, you two are going to. Sweet. Die. Individual. Who? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 182. Chapter 182. The tool man gave her a real hammer and said, "We haven't seen each other for a long time." What's funny is that the two girls on Gu Huiyan's left were very excited when they saw Pei Jingshu handing them the microphone. When Gu Huiyan came up first, they went crazy and cursed that this boy who always pretended to be aloof actually took the microphone from them. But when Gu Huiyan's very recognizable voice came out, they were both stunned. Then he looked at Gu Huiyan in disbelief. The mood is just like riding a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. The little game of going up and down. Damn it. Ah. I'm getting goosebumps. Has he ever sung so well before? At this moment, countless viewers and netizens had goosebumps. Should I say it or not, this guy Gu Huiyan has a really good and bright voice. The few lines of the chorus he sang just now were a little too high because he was a little anxious, but he sang them with his loud and real voice. There were even a few key changes in the middle, as if he was deliberately showing off his skills. But he just managed to vent all his full emotions. Originally Little Lucky was not suitable for boys to sing, but as soon as Gu Huiyan came out with these two lines, it immediately became his own song, right? Absolutely amazing. His voice is so offensive. And it gives people a feeling that they have made progress. It's amazing. Needless to say, the sound enhancement of LV6 in this system is really a bit fierce. When Gu Huiyan opened his voice just now, he was almost shocked. Walk. Hey. This isn't fair. At this time, the backstage also exploded. Although many singers were smiling like their aunts, they started to act like they were having a show, saying, Pei Jingshu is looking for someone to help sing in this humming singing king competition. Why didn't you tell them about this? Is this fair? Regarding this, the program team was also quite helpless. They knew that Pei Jingshu called her friends, but they didn't know that it was Gu Huiyan, and they didn't know that she even asked Gu Huiyan to help sing. It's funny to say. Gu Huiyan hid all the way without being recognized, and was actually misled by Pei Jingshu when she was performing, and made a high-profile appearance. As soon as his voice came out, who wouldn't know it was him, Gu Huiyan? But at this moment, maybe it's because the show's effects are so explosive and the scene is so exciting, so maybe everyone doesn't care much about these details. Even the guests backstage who said it was unfair were just trying to make the show look better, and they were not really causing trouble. At this time, the camera also showed Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu. Gu Huiyan was wearing sunglasses, and with half of his mask taken off, it wasn't obvious enough, that is, enough to be recognized. Pei Jingshu, on the other hand, looked at Gu Huiyan with a pair of watery eyes and an unmoved face, her jade hands gently covering the lower half of her face. Many people in the studio were screaming, but all her eyes were filled with Gu Huiyan. She couldn't even bear to let Gu Huiyan sing the next line. She sang to herself. Spotless, stained, sincere. How lucky I am to meet you. These two sentences were sung to Gu Huiyan. Ah! As soon as the phrase "I'm so lucky to meet you" came out, the whole audience burst into laughter. The two girls next to Gu Huiyan shouted until their voices were hoarse, and they were very excited. They were fans of Gu Huiyan and Pei Bon ZCP fans, but now they were having sex at a very close distance, right? Pei Jingshu is very detailed. The details were that these two lines of lyrics were sweet, and the next two lines were bitter. After singing these two lines, she stood up immediately, not even willing to sing the next two lines to Gu Huiyan. She sang to the audience. But I have lost the right to burst into tears for you. I hope it's in the sky that I can't see. You spread your wings. It's my destiny to meet you. She'll be so lucky. Half the song is finished and it's time for an interlude. Oh! Ah! The cheers and screams at the scene directly overwhelmed the entire studio. The barrage next door was even more explosive. It is said that because of the excessive amount of barrage pouring in at the same time, the program team's server had some problems. This kid. The corners of Chief Director Qin Tao's mouth twitched slightly. Gu Huiyan came here, okay, let them hum the server. Speaking of which, why didn't this kid say hello in advance? Zhang Dan didn't say anything either. This caught him off guard. In fact, let alone him, everyone was caught off guard. Even Gu Huiyan was stunned when he realized that he had been exposed. Well, for fear of exposing myself and being unfair to other singers, I didn't dare to go downstairs to the Pei Jingshu Hotel, but ended up making a high-profile public appearance on Singer of the Times. A little lacking in virtue. But there is no way. In the situation just now, Pei Jingshu kept staring at him, her eyes full of what she wanted to say. She suddenly came over to hand over the microphone, so close that Gu Huiyan had no time to react. At this moment, the barrage exploded. A bunch of netizens were furious. Gu Lalu, why are you here? I said, why does Sister Pei keep staring in one direction, you love brain? Ah! She sang all the sweet lyrics to each other, and she sang the bitter lyrics to us. Sister Pei, does your conscience really not hurt if you treat us like this? The lyrics to the chorus of Little Lucky, the first half are quite sweet, which is quite suitable for Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu to sing just now. But the second half is a bit bitter. Pei Jingshu was very detailed in singing duets to each other when it was sweet, and when she was bitter, she stood up and faced the camera and the audience. But the audience and netizens wanted to say it. Who have we provoked? Why do you two share sweet lyrics with each other, but when they are so bitter, sing them to us? Make us feel uncomfortable. Sister Pei. You do this. Does your conscience really not hurt? Are you worthy of us? Is it worthy of the fans? Is it worthy of the audience? Ah! At this moment the audience was shouting crazy. Who would have thought that Pei Jingshu's performance in the King of Singer competition would be so complicated? Gu Huiyan looked helpless. Now that everyone was recognized, he simply stopped pretending and took off his mask and sunglasses, but not his hat. MD had been wearing a hat for so long that he no longer had a hairstyle to speak of. Taking off his hat would be really embarrassing. Scene. Ah! The two little girls next to me were so excited. They never thought that they were on the front line of making sweets. Absolutely awesome. Gu Huiyan nodded to them, but more attention was still focused on Pei Jingshu. Pei Jingshu was also looking at him, and then the screen happened to show them, and a funny scene appeared. That is, everyone knows that they are looking at each other, and everyone is eating dog food. It's obviously a sad and regretful song, and it's obviously a serious performance of a singing competition, but it's just like the two of them giving candy. The effect of the show is explosive. After all, it was Pei Jingshu. Even if she shouted like this on the spot, she could still finish the second half of the song very steadily. It is worth mentioning that in the second half, she did not pass the microphone to Gu Huiyan or the audience, otherwise it would be really unfair and bullying. Let's just say, the two lines that Gu Huiyan sang just now are so powerful. I feel like he has sung this song as his own. This guy gives people a feeling that his timbre has improved, and some people are confused. Did he have such a good voice before? The performance also ended successfully with such sweetness. After it was over, Pei Jingshu was about to leave the stage, and then she turned back 3 times in one step. Always look in Gu Huiyan's direction. She obviously didn't say anything. As reserved as she was, she rarely took the initiative to express her love, let alone as lively as Shang Xuan. But when you look at her reaction, the look in her eyes, and her actions, she reveals that love everywhere. Sister Pei, you. Many viewers and fans no longer knew what to say. What we're saying is, if you don't have eyes like this, you'll be in trouble. We all know that you like him, and we all know that you are a real couple. You two should quickly find a place where there is no one to have sex. If you continue like this, you will really kill each other, okay? I'm full of dog food. Gu Huiyan, on the other hand, when the camera was on him, the old man smiled like a corgi, which attracted a burst of jealousy. By the way, Gu Lulu still had to bear it even if he was criticized. Who asked him to take their sister Pei away? Well. Gu Huiyan sighed silently. Hey, if he was exposed, he would definitely not be able to watch the rest of the show. So after Pei Jingshu left, he planned to go to the studio under the protection of the staff. Who knew that the staff member who came over came and asked him if he could stay a little longer. Gu Huiyan was still stunned at the time. He was recognized. Can he continue to watch? The staff said it was okay, but his expression was a bit strange. At that time, Gu Huiyan didn't realize the seriousness of the matter, and thought they wanted him to stay to see who among the singers would win the singing title in the end, so he continued. Stayed. Then a singer from the back came on stage to compete. She is also a relatively well-known female singer who sings her own very famous masterpieces. Gu Huiyan has also heard that song, it's quite nice. Originally everything was normal, the verses were brewing with emotions, and the choruses were full of emotions. Who knows? When the chorus came, the female singer suddenly handed the microphone to Gu Huiyan. Just like Pei Jingshu. At that time, everyone in Gu Huiyan was dumbfounded. He hurriedly took over the singing and sang along with a few words. Oh! Then the whole crowd cheered. I don't know why everyone feels that Gu Huiyan has a very bright voice tonight, as if he can sing any song that sounds good. It wasn't until the song was over that Gu Huiyan returned to his seat in confusion. He didn't even understand why he was forced to sing. At that time, Gu Huiyan still didn't think much about it. Until the next singer's chorus calls him to take over. The next person called him to sing again. I see, this. At this time, Gu Huiyan finally understood why the staff member insisted on telling him to stay, and his expression was so strange at that time. I've been waiting for him here for a long time. You are using him directly as a tool. The assistant beside him, Zhang Nuan, was a little dissatisfied and couldn't help but say. Isn't it ridiculous to force us to sing without paying any advertising fee? He. Gu Huiyan smiled helplessly, waved his hand and said. Hey, people, this is a step for us to get down. Ah. Zhang Nuan didn't understand it at first, but when Gu Huiyan reminded her, she suddenly realized. Yes. He, Gu Huiyan, made a high-profile appearance on Singer of the Times to help Pei Jingshu sing a few lines of the chorus of Little Lucky, and his singing was so nice, it was like the finishing touch. Then other singers will definitely think it's unfair. Even if other singers don't think it's unfair, their fans, audiences, and netizens will also think it's unfair. This is just in case Pei Jingshu wins the Singing King. Some people may say that it is Gu Huiyan's contribution, saying that Pei Jingshu is not worthy of the position and causes controversy. When Pei Jingshu went backstage just now, many singers expressed protest and the audience also expressed dissatisfaction. Then the program team must give fairness. How did the program team do it? The program team directly told the singers that Pei Jingshu asked Gu Huiyan to sing, and you can also ask Gu Huiyan to sing. Anyway, he is in the audience. You can hand over the microphone at any time if you want. No one will stop you from calling him to take over the singing. He is right there, so you can call him out. At that time, I was directly silenced by those singers. Pei Jingshu looking for Gu Huiyan is looking for foreign aid. If they want to find it, they should also look for their own foreign aid. Everyone should not use Pei Jingshu's foreign aid. This show crew is just being mean. But the crux of the matter is that they can't refute the show crew's trick. Because the program team did not say that Gu Huiyan was a foreign aid invited by Pei Jingshu, but regarded Gu Huiyan as a foreign aid invited by them, and described him as a tool man of the program team. Whoever you want can use him. That's awesome. That. Because Gu Huiyan's voice just now was really bright and had a striking effect, and they did not refute what the program crew said, so the next few groups of singers thought about it and actually used Gu Huiyan. In this way, the singers' complaints disappeared, and the fans actually couldn't complain much. Ah yes. Gu Huiyan sang a few refrains to Pei Jingshu. He also sang for other singers. Where's the unfairness? Tell me what? The cry of the horse. Fairness on horseback. Later, Gu Huiyan heard that this matter was proposed by their chief director Qin Tao and decided to implement it temporarily. There is something to say. Gu Huiyan really came to Singer of the Times and admired the chief director Qin Tao once. The last time, the mask was used to cover the face, so that everyone guessed it was Gu Huiyan, but they refused to admit that it was Gu Huiyan. They said it was not the case, and they did not show their faces. This time, Gu Huiyan was treated as a tool man, in order to help him step down, and also to make the show less controversial, so that all the singers could call him to sing. It's also absolutely amazing. He said before that he and Gu Huiyan's boss Zhang Ma were old friends, but Gu Huiyan didn't believe it. Believe it now? 2,000-year-old foxes. Of course, not all singers ask Gu Huiyan to sing. Some singers' performances are suitable for live performances. Gu Huiyan sings well and the performance is good. They think that they don't have to use it in vain, so they ask Gu Huiyan to sing a few lines for them and help them. There are also some singers whose performances are only suitable for singing by themselves. If they want to be in the drama, they will be out of drama if they sing for others. Of course they will not do it. One thing to say, not all of the senior singers like Gu Huiyan. To be honest, taking over singing is a good thing, but the effect of the program is okay, but having your own songs sung by others may not necessarily be a good thing. Especially someone like Gu Huiyan, who has a good voice and a superb singing voice. He can easily overshadow the singers on stage. His singing can easily seem like other people's singing. Do you know how to cut? Then they don't have to worry about Huiyan, and they can't complain, because the program team has made it clear that you can use it if you want, and you don't have to use it yourself. Don't rely on us, and don't say anything unfair. That's awesome. This Chengdu TV station is one of the best in the history of public relations. Unexpectedly, the impromptu proposal on this matter could be so awesome. Gu Huiyan thought for a while that the person who came up with this decision must be a talented person. Speaking of which, Gu Huiyan is having a hard time. I originally came to watch the show to accompany Pei Jingshu, but in the next few performances, Gu Huiyan took over the singing several times and didn't get a penny. The Tool Man is really good, okay. You know, let alone appearing on shows, the appearance fee for a normal commercial performance starts at 1.8 million. But he couldn't say anything. Who let him be exposed? If he didn't help the singers behind him but only helped Pei Jingshu, there would definitely be controversy. Not only could he not complain, but he also had to thank the program team for giving him a step down. Woolen cloth. After realizing this, Gu Huiyan lay down and continued singing steadily. Netizens laughed like crazy and couldn't help but express. Gu Huiyan, I just came to see a performance, why do you all ask me to sing? Ha ha ha, let's just say, a singing competition is so important, is it appropriate for you all to call Gu Huiyan to sing? Gu Huiyan, brother, I'm casting a wide net. No matter which one of them wins the singing title, I will have a share of the credit. Who would have thought that the protagonist of the Singer of the Times competition would be Gu Huiyan? Pei Jingshu, who was backstage, was amused and felt sorry for Gu Huiyan when she saw this scene. At the same time, she felt a little sorry. It was because of her impromptu idea that she accidentally let Gu Huiyan take over the singing. She thought that she would make it up to Gu Huiyan tonight. After several pickups, finally, the performance was over. Next is count the votes. Determine the king of singers. Originally, Gu Huiyan wanted to leave, but thinking that Pei Jingshu might win the Singer King, tonight's little lucky was too good, so he stayed a little longer to see the final outcome. If she wins the King of Songs title, I would just accompany her to witness it. A few moments. Host He Yu took the stage and walked through the process. The singers took the stage in groups. When Pei Jingshu came on stage, the host He Yu couldn't help but joked. The family members are downstairs. Don't you want to say something first, Jingshu? As soon as this statement came out. Oh. Ah. The scene was filled with shouts again. Family members. He Yu, the host of Orange Channel, was not in a hurry to go through the program process. He teased Pei Jingshu first, which was enough to show how effective the two programs were. On the stage, Pei Jingshu was still wearing that sparkling tube top dress, but she added a jacket. Faced with the booing of the crowd, even for such a cold beauty like her, she couldn't help but blush. She picked up the phone, suppressed her shyness, and just said, "We haven't seen each other for a long time." She spoke very softly, without any color or fishy smell. But it's just this sentence. Wow! The audience and netizens, including some singers and guests, all had goosebumps. Looking at them both at the same time, there was also a little more distress in their eyes. Monthly ticket. Monthly ticket. Please give me all kinds of monthly tickets. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 183. Some fans said, I feel sorry for Sister Pei. Who doesn't know that the two of them are in a long-distance relationship now? This is the first time they have met since the end of Crystal Love season. Before, Gu Huiyan was downstairs in the hotel and didn't dare to go upstairs. This longing, Pei Jingshu really can't say anything more touching than this right now. Everyone can see the love in their eyes. This candy is heart-wrenching, sweet, and soothing. Cough. After coughing lightly to clear the sugar from his throat, the host He Yu pointed the finger at Gu Huiyan in the audience again. He asked. Then, this family member, what do you want to say? As he said that, he actually went to hand the microphone to Gu Huiyan. In the audience, Gu Huiyan, who was wearing a hat, looked helpless and said. To be honest, when I see the person handing me the microphone, I feel a little psychologically depressed. As soon as these words came out. Puff. Ha ha ha. At that time, the whole audience burst into laughter. The singers on the stage were all laughing too. The people on the program team almost got rich laughing. The other side of the barrage was even more amused. Yes. Gu Huiyan contributed too much in the last singer competition of Time Singer. God knows how much he contributed. I originally wanted to watch my girlfriend's performance, but unexpectedly, I ended up singing several times because of an unexpected incident. Right now, the host, Mr. He Yu, handed him the microphone, and he felt a shadow. Gu Huiyan, you kid. The barrage was flowing wildly at this moment, and countless viewers couldn't help but express. Can you please stop being weird at such a touching time? Sister Pei is so sensational, you kid is causing trouble here, you are such a show-off, you are really, convinced. Haha, my brother Gu really doesn't allow any pretense to happen to him. It's you Gu Huaqiang as expected. Don't blame netizens for complaining. Pei Jingshu said pitifully that they hadn't seen each other for a long time, and he came up and put on a show. I mean, can you please stop embarrassing yourself at such a touching moment? Can you get out? Just for now. Many fans of Pei Jingshu's family can't stand it anymore. They just couldn't understand why Pei Jingshu was so attracted to this girl. Are you embarrassed by him? They once couldn't figure out where they lost, just because they were embarrassed without him. A plant. The laughter gradually became weaker. Gu Huiyan stopped being weird. He turned to look in the direction of Pei Jingshu and said. It's not a long time since we last met. It's just 7 days, 11 hours, and 51 minutes. When he said the first half of the sentence, some people thought that this old man was going to cause trouble again. But as soon as the second half of the sentence comes out. Oh. Wow. You kid. The scene started to eat sweets again, and many people couldn't help but get goosebumps. So thin. Gu Huiyan is really smart. How come the time is so punctual? Talent. Pei Jingshu lightly covered her red lips with her hands, and was also moved by Gu Huiyan's answer. Ah. So sweet. The girl next to me was so addicted to sugar that she was so crazy that the sound in the audience slowly died down, but her sudden voice was very abrupt in the scene and everyone heard it. Ha ha ha. At that time, the whole audience burst into laughter. Yes, so sweet. She said they hadn't seen each other for a long time. He said that it was not a long time, just 7 days, 11 hours, and 51 minutes. It had only been a week since they were separated, and she felt like they hadn't seen each other for a long time. But he can accurately remember the time of separation. The two of them just wanted to tell everyone that every minute they were apart was like a year. Okay. The host on the stage, He Yu, couldn't help but say. How about we hide? Ha ha ha. It elicited a burst of laughter. It feels like they shouldn't be in the car, they should be under the car. I've hidden them all and left you with some private time. The whole audience was laughing and joking, but the cold fair-skinned beauty Pei Jingshu's watery eyes were always on Gu Huiyan, looking at him as if she was about to get stringy. Gu Huiyan's eyes also passed through the crowd and looked exactly at Pei Jingshu. Others say that their words are meant for the camera and the audience. Only they know that their words are only meant for each other. A few moments. The vote count is over. Our singer tonight has been calculated. The host, Mr. He, went through a few tricks and first announced the third and second runners-up, and finally, let us congratulate Pei Jingshu. Won the 5th season of Era Singer as the overall champion and won the title of King of Singing. Pei Jingshu, who has been struggling since the beginning of this show, finally won the title of King of Songs with her song Little Lucky in the finals. Oh! Pa bang bang! The scene was filled with cheers and applause. Many senior singers will also applaud Pei Jingshu. To be honest, if other young singers such as Zheng Yunbin won the King of Songs, they would not necessarily admit it, but Pei Jingshu is really popular. She is from the Zhejiang music department. Number 1 in her major, and a music talent show champion, she can perform well in the bird's nest. Although she is young, her singing skills are not inferior to those of any senior singers. Yes, she had Gu Huiyan to help her tonight, but she actually didn't have Gu Huiyan. With her song Little Lucky, it wouldn't be a big problem for her to win the singing title tonight. Some people will envy Pei Jingshu, who is so good looking and can sing so well, but she still allows other female celebrities to have dinner. Applause and flowers were given to Pei Jingshu at this moment. She was busy hugging every guest. Gu Huiyan in the audience could only clap and applaud, but did nothing. After all, he was not the protagonist and could not dominate the scene at this time. Let's go. He stood up and left the studio one step ahead with his assistant Zhang Nuan. Later, when Pei Jingshu looked at his position, no one else was there. Pei Jingshu was still looking around, and she didn't even hear the senior singers around her say hello to her. Host He You couldn't help but joked. Go quickly, he is waiting for you backstage. The recording has actually ended at this time. If it were really a hype of the on-screen couple, pretending to be sweet, Pei Jingshu wouldn't be like this now. Good. Pei Jingshu's pretty face was slightly red, she nodded lightly, and walked out of the studio with somewhat hasty steps. This young couple is really... The guests had onto smiles on their faces. I quite envy this kind of celebrity couple who goes in both directions. With Pei Jingshu winning the singing title of Singer of the Times, the show officially ended. At this time, there are actually hot searches on major social platforms. Hashtag Gu Huiyan made a surprise appearance in Pei Jingshu's Singer of the Times singer competition. Hashtag Gu Huiyan, have you ever sung so beautifully before? Hashtag strongly recommend Gu Huiyan publish a version of Little Lucky. Hashtag Gu Huiyan is a real tool man. Hashtag Pei Ban will take care of you for a long time. Hashtag Let's just say that Gu Huiyan originally wanted to keep a low profile, but no one expected that this would make him more popular than Pei Jingshu, the Singer of the Year. In the past 2 days, because he has been filming endorsements, Gu Huiyan has hardly gained any popularity. Even if the 3 songs Light Chaser, Stubborn and Contentment were released online, they were not very popular because they were sung in advance. Who knew that after going to Pei Jingshu's King of Singers competition, the popularity would explode? It's already ranked number 1 in hot searches, okay. By the way, Gu Huiyan's voice does have something good. The chorus of Little Lucky that he sang tonight was very good, and the other singers who sang the chorus were also very eye-catching. Some people may wonder, Gu Huiyan, have you been practicing your voice recently? Why is this voice so good? Okay, but it's a bit puzzling. Why are you wondering? Because this kid is not taboo. We all know that if we catch those with puffy eyes, we can eat whatever is greasy or spicy. There are almost no food taboos at all. According to the common sense of ordinary singers, eating like this should make their throat worse and worse. but why is his voice getting louder and brighter? It really makes people envious and jealous. Someone said. Gu Huiyan must be secretly involved, secretly working out and practicing without telling us. It attracted a burst of condemnation. Of course, the most eye-catching thing is never Gu Huiyan singing, and what he said when he was teased as Pei Jingshu's family member. It's not a long time since we last met. It's just 7 days, 11 hours, and 51 minutes. These words are really sweet to many dear people. People always say that Pei Jingshu is a love brain. When reading the hot searches, some people felt that Gu Huiyan was the same way. The look in their eyes when they looked at each other was so pure that it was enviable. It is well known that there are no real couples in the entertainment industry. Even if there are, they will break up quickly. There are not many couples who really love and like each other for a long time. But Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu are like an exception in it. They always use practical actions to break all rumors, holding each other's hands and walking through all the public opinions calmly. Such a high profile, generous, and unafraid of all emotions is really enviable, isn't it? Pei Ban takes care of CP, does it really have to last forever? It seems that I heard everyone's voices. At night, another hot search came up, called Hashtag Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu kissing backstage in Singer of the Times. Hashtag backstage at the Singer of the Times studio. After the performance, Gu Huiyan waited for Pei Jingshu at the originally appointed place. Teacher Xiao Gu, you. The chief director Qin Tao happened to be nearby, so he bumped into it, so he simply pulled Gu Huiyan and started chatting while complaining and reminiscing about old times. He kept complaining about what this old six did tonight, and even jokingly complained about Gu Huiyan blowing up their server, asking him to pay for it. Gu Huiyan just smiled and dealt with it. In fact, he felt that he owed director Qin a favor tonight. Just chatting. I'm coming. Assistant Zhang Nuan pulled Gu Huiyan far away. Wearing high heels, a tube-top dress, and long black hair, Pei Jingshu, who had just come down from the studio and was dressed very delicately, was walking over with a bouquet of flowers given by the program team after winning the singing title. When I was taking the King of Songs just now, some golden colorful flowers were sprinkled on the stage, and some of them hung in her hair. The assistant wanted to help her, but he couldn't catch up with her. She was obviously wearing a pair of blue high heels with diamonds and a bow design. Ta ta ta. The sound of the tiles in the studio colliding with Pei Jingshu's high heels was endless. She trotted over. When she was about to arrive in front of Gu Huiyan, she gave a handful of flowers to the assistant who was chasing behind her. And at the next moment, he opened his arms, threw himself into Gu Huiyan's arms, and wrapped his arms around Gu Huiyan's neck. Because she ran very fast, there would be some impact. Gu Huiyan could easily lose his balance when she suddenly rushed in. Fortunately, he had some dance skills from previous dance practice, had a good waist, and knew how to unload the force. So when Pei Jingshu jumped on him, he put his hands around Pei Jingshu's slender waist, turned sideways, and spun. He held her in his arms and spun her around in a circle. Pei Jingshu's very beautiful pair of cyan high heels will be tilted up, and the high heels and jade lotus root-like white and slender calves are always very conspicuous. Pei Jingshu didn't say anything, she just hugged Gu Huiyan. The smell of perfume on her body was still the same as before, and the familiar smell continued to penetrate Gu Huiyan's breath, which made people enjoy and satisfied. She is really pure, and is not good at expressing her love. She rarely says sweet words, and she is not very clingy. The way she expresses her love may be just to hug each other. Wow! Pei Jingshu and Gu Huiyan's assistants were making sweets next to them. There were many backstage staff, many of whom looked at the scene with envious expressions. I envy Gu Huiyan for being able to win Pei Jingshu's love, and even more envious of their two-way relationship. If you could imagine their long-distance relationship as a long-distance relationship, then they would probably feel more deeply. Ahem. Next to him, the chief director Chin Tao couldn't stand it anymore and couldn't help coughing. He is still there, so these two young men should at least care about his middle-aged uncle's feelings. Pei Jingshu. On the other side, Pei Ya also rushed over slowly, gritting her teeth and pulling up Pei Jingshu's skirt while going to apologize to the chief director Chin Tao. All right. Gu Huiyan also patted Pei Jingshu's shoulder. Finally, she gradually loosened her hold on Gu Huiyan's neck. However, they were not far away from Gu Huiyan, and the two of them just looked at each other. Come here quickly. Pei Ya gritted her teeth, and the words were almost squeezed out from between her teeth. Pei Jingshu frowned slightly. She didn't know why, but at this moment she had a rebellious mentality and didn't really want to listen to her sister's words. She understood that her sister was afraid of others seeing her and making things up, but what did she and Gu Huiyan have to be afraid of? When she was in the hotel, her sister forcibly hung up the phone on her, which made her always a little unhappy. Then, after a moment's hesitation, she ignored her sister's words, stood up slightly on her tiptoes, turned her head sideways, and kissed Gu Huiyan gently. A very light kiss. But it makes people feel sweet. Click, click, click. In the distance, a staff member secretly took photos with his mobile phone, and that's how the hot search came about. Pei Ya is going crazy. Sure enough, she knows that Pei Jingshu's big love brain will ferment even more if they really talk about it. You see now, she doesn't even listen to her words. Ah! It's the other way around. Pei Ya's bowl of Cao's rice bowl is really going to be smashed, okay. Chief Director Chin Tao also silently held his forehead and said with a wry smile. You guys talk, I'll start. He pointed to the side, said hello to Pei Ya and others, and left first. This young man is in love, he better not get involved in it. This dog food is so delicious, I can't stand it, I can't stand it. After Director Chin left, Pei Ya angrily pulled Pei Jingshu aside and trained her for a long time, which made Gu Huiyan feel distressed, but it was not easy to get involved. Pei Jingshu said nothing and let her sister train her. After the training, she silently walked to Gu Huiyan and said, "Wait for me to change clothes and come out immediately." They were going to have dinner together. There was actually a banquet to celebrate her singing success tonight, and then the recording of the show ended, and the staff also had a big dinner. But it's a pity that Pei Jingshu never participates in such games, even if she is the protagonist. She is always like a breath of fresh air in the entertainment industry, which is why fans like her so much and call her White Moonlight. Good. Gu Huiyan waited for Pei Jingshu backstage for a while. When she came out from the backstage, Pei Jingshu changed into casual clothes, high-waisted blue jeans and a simple white slim-fitting short-sleeved shirt. When she put on the mask, she really looked like a college student. But even though she is wearing a mask, her appearance still gives people a feeling of being unsealed. Pei Jingshu, who was in love, looked very radiant. She cherished this first meeting after 7 or 8 days, and held Gu Huiyan's hand and refused to let go. I'm telling you. Pei Ya will definitely not go to dinner with him. Although she always opposes the affairs of Pei Jingshu and Gu Huiyan, she still doesn't want to be a big shining light bulb. I just pulled Pei Jingshu and said a lot of things with sincerity, mainly saying that I couldn't spend the night outside. Finally, the assistant was sent to follow Pei Jingshu, and then she was let go. In fact, she loves Pei Jingshu. It's also heartbreaking. Sorry, my sister. In the car, Pei Jingshu couldn't help but say sorry to Gu Huiyan. She felt that Pei Ya's attitude towards Gu Huiyan was always not good from the past to the present. Gu Huiyan's attitude made Pei Jingshu quite satisfied. He said, "It's okay, she's doing it for your own good." Gu Huiyan is actually very detail-oriented. He knows one thing very well. The better his attitude is, the worse Pei Ya's attitude will be, and the worse Pei Jingshu will feel that her sister is wrong. If Gu Huiyan complained about Pei Ya, maybe Pei Jingshu wouldn't be angry, but if her outlook is upright, she definitely wouldn't think her sister is really that bad. Pei Jingshu pursed her lips and smiled. She was always very satisfied with Gu Huiyan's easygoing personality. It was past midnight after the performance ended, so they simply found a restaurant for a late-night snack. Pei Jingshu hardly ate at this late hour, so she just enjoyed the time the two of them spent together. There were paparazzi following them on the road, but they were already exposed anyway, and they were on the hot search. Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu didn't hide anything. When they got off the car and entered the restaurant, Gu Laoliu even said yeah to the paparazzi. That bitch deserves a beating. During the meal, Pei Jingshu asked about Gu Huiyan's work schedule. Her eyes lit up when she heard that Gu Huiyan was given a month's leave by the company to prepare a new album. At that time, she was thinking. If he has time, can he stay with me and accompany him? But Gu Huiyan, a stinky straight man, didn't seem to have thought about this. When Pei Jingshu asked, he just said, I plan to go home. I haven't been home for a long time. Pei Jingshu was a little disappointed when she heard this, but she didn't think Gu Huiyan's decision was wrong. Gu Huiyan's mother was thinking about him during Crystal Love season. At that time, Gu Huiyan was blacklisted by the entire internet for exploding cow dung. I never had time to go home to say I was safe. People with filial piety are not bad people. Having said that, when she thought about having to separate from Gu Huiyan tomorrow due to work, she immediately became depressed again. She has been really busy this year. Just in time. Ding dong. Pei Jingshu's assistant, who was showing off her dinner with Zhang Nuan, suddenly received a message. Explain. An event tomorrow and the day after tomorrow has been temporarily cancelled. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Bulletin Shi Xuan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 184. After finishing the supper. So late. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the night. Gu Huiyan took Pei Jingshu back to the hotel. As for staying overnight, Gu Huiyan thought about it, but it didn't feel realistic. If he really wanted to stay overnight, Pei Jingshu's agent sister might not know how to stab Gu Huiyan. Of course, Pei Jingshu didn't hesitate to kiss her goodbye. We only met for a few hours this time. See you next time. Don't know when. Young couples who have just established a relationship will definitely be sticky for a while. After it's sticky, I don't want it to come anymore, so it just comes. Gu Huiyan watched Pei Jingshu enter the hotel. Pei Jingshu in the hotel watched Gu Huiyan get into the car and leave, always feeling a little sad. In fact, she wanted to say that since Gu Huiyan had time, couldn't he accompany her? But she's not the kind of person who likes to make things clear. What's more, Gu Huiyan wants to go home to report that she's safe, and she also has work to be busy with. Well. Pei Jingshu sighed silently. Sometimes, she really envied Shang Zuoyan's character. He could speak whatever he wanted and act coquettishly if he wanted to. She thought that if it were Shang Zuoyan, she would definitely drag Gu Huiyan and say to stay with me. She just isn't such a little girl. Enter the elevator. Go upstairs. The assistant was holding her cell phone to make a voice call. She said. Sister, the event tomorrow and the day after tomorrow has been temporarily cancelled. There is something wrong with their product. It may have to be postponed. Our schedule has to be rescheduled. I think there is work in the back that I can come to the front in advance. That. She was obviously talking to Pei Yat. Pei Jingshu was nearby at the time. She didn't think anything of it at first when she heard this. After all, it's not uncommon for events to be cancelled at short notice, but... Suddenly, Pei Jingshu's eyes lit up. Thinking of tomorrow, isn't Gu Huiyan going home? Her work schedule is all arranged, and the subsequent work may or may not be in advance. So if she spares these 2 days, can she go home with Gu Huiyan? It just so happened that Pei Ya had something to do and had to go home in the past 2 days. She could go home with Gu Huiyan without telling Pei Ya. Thinking of this, Pei Jingshu suddenly became a little excited. The assistant's voice hadn't finished yet. She grabbed the assistant's hand and said, "Quick, pull back, don't say. Ah, ah." The assistant looked confused. However, he was still stunned and withdrew the message first. When the assistant's message was withdrawn, Pei Jingshu suppressed her inner excitement and told the assistant about the matter. After listening, the assistant didn't reply for a long time. He just looked at Sister Pei strangely. It's not because she wants to go home with Gu Huiyan. It's because, in my impression, Pei Jingshu has always been a good girl, gentle, virtuous and sensible, and has never done anything out of the ordinary. But now she has to secretly squeeze out these 2 days of vacation for Gu Huiyan without telling her sister. This thing is quite incredible. Let's see if the tickets are available. Let's go back with him tomorrow. Without waiting for the assistant to reply, Pei Jingshu had already asked her assistant to check the flight. If she remembered correctly, Gu Huiyan's flight seemed to be around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. If the same flight was available, she could even get off the plane with Gu Huiyan. Perhaps Pei Jingshu's speech was as usual, and there was no excitement in the soft tone, but the urgency in her eyes was accurately seen by the assistant. Okay. Maybe she felt a little sorry for such a love-minded Sister Pei, and couldn't bear to let her lose, so the assistant helped Pei Jingshu check flights. Not to mention, the flight Gu Huiyan took actually existed, but it's economy class. The assistant scratched his head and said in confusion. Pei Jingshu usually travels in business class. It's not that she has money to spend or that she's high class. The main reason is that there are many people in the economy class, and it's easy to attract onlookers when she is recognized. Pei Jingshu's popularity is really high, and her national popularity is not low. Before she was an artist, she would often be complimented and hit on by people for her appearance when she went out. It doesn't matter. What made the assistant even more distressed was that Pei Jingshu actually waved her hand and said softly, "Just cover it tightly and it'll be fine." In order to go back with Gu Huiyan, she took the economy class. Pei Jingshu, who grew up in a wealthy family, had never flown in economy class when she was not an artist. Sister Pei. The assistant really felt sorry for Pei Jingshu, and suddenly she understood why Pei Ya always said that she was in love. She was really willing to pay a lot for Gu Huiyan. The more Pei Jingshu behaves like this, the more her maternal family feels that Gu Huiyan owes Pei Jingshu. For a moment, the assistant suddenly thought, if Pei Jingshu followed Gu Huiyan home like this as a surprise sneak attack, what if she saw something she shouldn't have seen? Doesn't that boy Gu Huiyan still have a partner in his hometown? You won't be discovered riding 2 boats, right? Surprises in history can easily turn into shocks if not played well. What on earth was I thinking? Soon, the assistant was disgusted by the dirty thoughts in his mind, which Gu Huiyan should not be. After confirming her flight, Pei Jingshu was suddenly looking forward to tomorrow. It was her long-lost vacation, and it was also a surprise for Gu Huiyan. Just hope it doesn't overturn. The next day, Pei Jingshu and her assistant packed their things and left for the airport early. That time was actually less than their flight time, but in order not to reveal their secrets, they still went out according to the time arranged by their previous work. Be careful on the road. Pei Ya sent them out. She didn't feel anything was wrong at all, so she just sent Pei Jingshu out. Pei Jingshu, who secretly did bad things without telling her sister for the first time, looked a little reserved. After all, she was not an actress and had no acting skills. Pei Ya could see something was wrong in her eyes but didn't think much about it. Today, Pei Jingshu was dressed very plainly. She just wore a simple and elegant white dress. Her mask, sunglasses, and hat tried to hide her incredible appearance and try not to let the dear people recognize her. But even so, when arriving at the airport, some passers-by would still look at her occasionally. No way. Pei Jingshu's temperament is really outstanding, and some things cannot be sealed. She had no choice but to quickly follow the assistant into the security check and wait for the flight. Because it was economy class, the waiting area was relatively ordinary. In order to prevent Pei Jingshu from being recognized, the assistant made her sit on the edge of the lobby seats, and he blocked her as much as possible. "Why do you feel like we are like thieves?" It was Pei Jingshu who complained helplessly. "That's not the case, Sister Pei, do you have to make a last-minute decision to go?" The assistant reminded helplessly. "I heard that the city where Gu Huiyan's family lives is going to reach 40 degrees Celsius in the next 2 days. It's going to be so hot that it won't be a hardship to go there." Pei Jingshu just smiled and said nothing. How could she care about the weather and temperature? It was still early and she had nothing to do, so Pei Jingshu looked around. She rarely came to the economy class waiting area. The assistant thought she was looking for Gu Huiyan, so she couldn't help but remind her. "Don't look at it. Teacher Gu must be flying in business class. How could he be flying in economy class? Pei Jingshu is a top-notch actress, and Gu Huiyan is also very popular now. Generally, celebrities like this seldom fly economy class when traveling. I'm not looking for him, I'm..." Pei Jingshu shook her head slightly. She originally wanted to say that she wasn't looking for him, but she hadn't finished her words yet. In the distance, she saw a very familiar tall figure, carrying a very familiar suitcase, covering it tightly, walking over from a distance. Like himself, he wore a mask, sunglasses, and a hat. The clothes he wore were very simple, with large black pants, white short sleeves, a pair of sneakers, and a bag on his back. His image was just like that of an ordinary deer man, but his suitcase looks very familiar to Pei Jingshu. From head to toe, this person also gave her a very familiar feeling. The most important thing is that he is like a thief, looking here and there, as if he is afraid of being caught. Gu Huiyan. It must be Gu Huiyan. Apart from him, who else could wear something so simple in private? The iconic Big Kookazi has come out, okay. Pook. At that time, Pei Jingshu couldn't help but laugh out loud. Yes, she should have thought that with Gu Huiyan's behavior, even if he is now a popular artist, he should take economy class or economy class. The funny thing is, "Hello, are you Gu Huiyan?" They were all covered up so tightly, and not long after Gu Huiyan came and sat down nearby, he was actually recognized. The two girls sitting near him had been looking at him since just now, and when he sat down they finally couldn't help but ask. Pei Jingshu was not recognized, but he was recognized. At that time, everyone in Gu Huiyan was dumbfounded, thinking that you would recognize me even though I was like this. Ahem, no, you have recognized the wrong person. Gu Huiyan was still waving his hands, and while waving his hands, he stood up and sat somewhere else. The two girls were not sure they belonged to Gu Huiyan at first, but the more they listened to him, the more they sounded like them, so they took secret photos with their mobile phones. By coincidence, Gu Huiyan was sitting right behind Pei Jingshu. At that time, Pei Jingshu's heart was pounding, and she suddenly felt a little excited and was afraid of being recognized. Fortunately, Gu Huiyan was so heartless that he didn't even look back after sitting down. Even if a beautiful woman with a good figure occasionally passed by, he wouldn't even look at it. The most important thing was that there was a hot girl wearing high-quality silk stockings sitting next to him with her beautiful legs crossed. Gu Huiyan turned his head away in shock. This reaction made Pei Jingshu quite satisfied. People say that character is judged in private, and the more she paid attention to Huiyan, the more satisfied she became in private. Nearby, there may be some passers-by who recognize them and occasionally take photos of them secretly, but few people come to say hello. After all, the dear people probably think, why does this big star fly economy class like them? Finally, got on the plane. When they got on the plane and found their seats, Pei Jingshu and her assistant were a little dumbfounded because Gu Huiyan, the old man, was sitting next to them. Economy class is a three-seater. When the assistant chose the seat, he must have chosen the window seat or the middle seat. Pei Jingshu sat by the window and she sat in the middle to protect Pei Jingshu. She never expected that by such a coincidence, Gu Huiyan was sitting next to them, in the third seat from the aisle. At that time, Pei Jingshu's heart almost jumped out of her chest. She looked like she was afraid of being recognized, and she didn't dare to look at Huiyan. What's funny is that Gu Huiyan didn't dare to look at her, he just sat there with his eyes closed and silent, pretending to be an aloof man. Why is he sitting next to us? The assistant was quite surprised that Gu Huiyan was sitting in economy class. How could he have imagined that they would sit together by such a coincidence? Pei Jingshu shook her head lightly and did not dare to speak. To be honest, most people really couldn't guess what was going on in Gu Huiyan's mind. This matter is actually easy to understand. Many people who fly are willing to sit by the window. After all, they can see the scenery. The scenery in the sky is actually quite good. But you have to know that the economy class is generally quite crowded. On some airlines, the space between the front and rear seats of the economy class is very small. You can still stretch your legs outside when sitting in the aisle seat. The window seat is really crowded. It's okay for someone with a petite stature. Gu Huiyan is a tall man of 1.8 meters. If he sits by the window on a plane with a small space, he will be so crowded that he can't breathe. That's why he chose the aisle seat. Scenery and other things, just seeing it a few times is enough. If you see it too much, it won't be interesting. The engine on the plane is very noisy, and it will be really uncomfortable if you sit there. It's really. What a coincidence. Pei Jingshu and her assistant chose seats by the window or in the middle so as not to be exposed, while he happened to choose the aisle for comfort. As for why Gu Huiyan takes the economy class, I simply feel that there is no need to take business class or anything like that. It's all the same journey, and they all have the same seat. No one takes off or lands longer than the other. Yes, business class offers comfort and privacy, but it is expensive. Gu Huiyan felt that it would be better to go home and buy some gifts for his family than spend 500 or 600 yuan. It's really hard to make money now. Gu Huiyan's family is in a small county. He knows very well that it may take 2 or 3 days for ordinary people in a small county to earn 400 to 500. In the past, their fried skewers often didn't even last a day. You can earn these. Obviously he could save 400 to 500 yuan by covering his face so that no one would recognize him, so why did he have to fly in business class? Even if someone recognizes him, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Gu Huiyan's current eyebag persona is already dead, let alone if it is exposed. That's just right, contribute system points to Gu Huiyan. Since the end of Crystal Love season, Gu Huiyan has not been able to continuously earn system points. Recently, he has to redeem a lot of songs to release an album, and Gu Huiyan is short of system points. So even if he is recognized by some people, such as the girls who just took the photo, Gu Huiyan doesn't care. It's just that maybe Gu Huiyan didn't expect that Pei Jingshu and his assistant would follow him, and just sit next to him. A very funny thing happened now. That was because Pei Jingshu was afraid that Gu Huiyan would recognize her, so she kept looking out the window for several hours on the plane without daring to look at Gu Huiyan. Her assistant put on a mask so that Sister Pei would not be discovered and did not dare to look after Huiyan. The key is, Gu Huiyan, the old man, also looked like he was afraid of being discovered, and he didn't dare to look at the people around him. As a result, Gu Huiyan, Pei Jingshu and their assistant, who were sitting 3 seats in the same row, did not recognize each other until they got off the plane. Pei Jingshu was overjoyed when she got off the plane. In fact, although she covered herself up tightly, she was dressed very beautifully. People often took secret photos of her on the road. She was quite outstanding. She didn't believe that Gu Huiyan didn't notice. But Gu Huiyan was stunned and didn't even look at her the whole time. Just for this self-awareness, Pei Jingshu also wants to give him a thumbs up. From Changsha Fequan City, it takes a little more than 2 hours. That got off the plane. Should we get to know him? The assistant asked Sister Pei. You followed him to the city where their home is, why don't you reveal yourself and give him a big surprise? Just wait a little longer. Pei Jingshu shook her head, chuckled and said. There are too many people at the airport. She wanted to take off her mask and let Gu Huiyan recognize her openly. If she took off her mask at the airport, she would be really crazy, and she would be watched to death and unable to get out. Oh. The assistant nodded and went to get the things honestly. It is worth mentioning that Gu Huiyan had to pick up his luggage when he got off the plane. He didn't have much luggage, so he took it directly to the plane without checking it in. When he stood up to pick up his luggage, he happened to be facing the direction of where Pei Jingshu and the others were seated. At that time, Pei Jingshu looked up, and the 2 people wearing sunglasses looked at each other in mid-air. Gu Huiyan's hand froze for a moment, feeling that this girl looked familiar. Why does it look a bit like Pei Jingshu? Thump thump thump. At that time, Pei Jingshu's heart almost jumped out of her chest. Fortunately, Gu Huiyan took one look at it and didn't look any further. He picked up his luggage and lined up to get off the plane. He probably thought, how could Pei Jingshu be here and just sitting next to him? There are so many coincidences in this world. As for the resemblance, maybe she is a deer who imitated Pei Jingshu. Nowadays, many people imitate Pei Jingshu. She is the best template in plastic surgery hospitals, and many internet celebrities imitate her. Call. Pei Jingshu was scared to death. Let's go, let's go. At this time, the assistant also picked up the things, and they all got off the plane and followed Gu Huiyan outside. Gu Huiyan was also very careless. He didn't even look back when he was leaving the airport, and he didn't notice anyone following him. Follow closely. Pei Jingshu called her assistant and felt that the 2 of them were really like thieves. She had never had this experience before. Walking in the airport lobby, there are many people here, and occasionally someone will actually recognize them and take pictures with their mobile phones. Pei Jingshu has no intention of paying attention to them. She just thought that Gu Huiyan must take a taxi when he left the airport, and she had to follow him quickly, otherwise it would be terrible if he couldn't get a taxi and got lost. But who knew that instead of taking a taxi outside, Gu Huiyan went straight to the airport bus ticket office. It's not him. Pei Jingshu's assistant at that time fell silent. Brother. You. Gu Huiyan. After all, he is considered a popular artist. Just writing songs for other people can make you $1 million. If you accept any advertisement or commercial performance, the starting price is RMB 1.8 million. The annual song copyright fees alone are now in the millions. We will tolerate you taking economy class. Why are you so reluctant to take a taxi? Why on earth do you want to take the airport bus? What the hell are you doing? Did we follow the wrong person? The assistant couldn't help but ask. Pei Jingshu smiled and said. Isn't that what he is? Ever since she met Gu Huiyan, hasn't Gu Huiyan always been such a thrifty person? This is a guy who even dared not get close to his clothes while eating fruit backstage at Times Square for fear of staining the clothes he rented worth tens of thousands of dollars. It is really surprising that other celebrities and entertainers fly in economy class and take the airport bus instead of taking a taxi after getting off the plane. but if he cares about Hwaein, it's normal, okay. I think Sister Pei, you won't be happy if you follow him. After a moment of silence, the assistant said this. Just because of Gu Huiyen's frugal way of doing things in daily life, he is like a special forces soldier. If you stay with him, your future life will really be miserable, okay. That's all Baoke can do with digging wild vegetables, right? Perhaps because she was afraid that Pei Jingshu wouldn't believe it, she added. Real. Giggle. It made Pei Jingshu laugh. I never thought that following Gu Huiyen would be so interesting. At the same time, Gu Huiyen's eyebrows were also posted on the internet by some netizens who took pictures of him on the road. Laughing madly, laughing happily, laughing hard, and getting rich again. I said that romance dramas will get better and better after it ends. This is definitely not an exaggeration. Romance dramas are really not what I am good at. Friends can just watch them. If you like it, don't be stingy. If you have a monthly pass, don't be stingy. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 185. My family is going to laugh out loud. What kind of special forces mission is Gu Huiyen? Some netizens photographed Gu Huiyen and Sister Pei taking the economy class from Changsha to go home alone after picking up King of Songs. They thought he would take a taxi after getting off the bus, but he ended up buying a ticket for the airport bus. Do you think this is over? No, 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 my brother Gu took the airport bus to the high-speed rail station and took the subway home from the high-speed rail station. What we are saying is, Gu Huiyen, you really save everything when you can. Eh? Why do the two women following Gu Huiyen look so familiar? Above. It's a video posted by a marketing account. Marketing account videos like this have been seen by many netizens today, and Gu Huiyen became a hot search topic because of it. This is indeed a press release purchased by the company, and the artist's company also has business in this area. But this wave is mainly because Gu Huiyen's travel method is too funny. Some netizens exposed it on the internet, and the company saw it, so it just happened to market it. This is really not a hype? What a coincidence. Who would have thought that Gu Huiyen, a popular artist, would travel alone in private and take economy class, airport bus, subway, and even take a taxi? That's right. After getting off the airport bus, this eldest brother went to take the subway again. Pei Jingshu and his assistant originally thought that he took the airport bus because his home was close to the airport bus. Who knew that he got off the bus and took the subway for more than half an hour? It was purely to save money and he was reluctant to take a taxi, okay. The reason why it became a hot search was because there were too many people in the subway. Many people recognized Gu Huiyen, and many people took pictures of him in the subway. This made a bunch of fans laugh and couldn't help but express. To be honest, it's embarrassing to be his fan. He's so handsome and beautiful and sharks are crazy when he's on trending searches. How embarrassing is he when he's trending? Ha ha ha, I thought he was just like this before the show, but I didn't expect him to be like this in private too. I really have this eye-catching bag. We are just saying that Sister Pei will not have a good life following him, really? Wait a minute, one of the two women following Gu Huiyen looks like Sister Pei. Ah. I saw several marketing accounts hinting at it, it seems like it's true. Haha, Pei Jingshu has been a fan for 10 years. I'm sure it's her. Her walking posture is unmistakable. Although the way you walk recognizes people. Sister Pei, I haven't even made my debut 10 years yet. Gu Huiyen, who is down to earth in the show, is always said to be a character, but in private he actually went to take the subway and the airport bus. While making people laugh and cry, many fans felt so close to him. Because Gu Huiyen's mode of transportation seems to be the daily mode of transportation for many people. Not everyone has so much spare money to take a taxi. Taking a taxi is really expensive. It is worth mentioning that Pei Jingshu was actually recognized because she followed Gu Huiyan all the way into the subway. However, many marketing accounts did not explicitly say it was her, but just hinted. But even this hint suddenly ignited the hearts of the melon eaters. Pei Jingshu followed Gu Huiyan home. Meet the parents. So fast. Real or fake? For a time, there was a lot of discussion on the internet. When news is flying all over the place. Gu Huiyan was sitting in the subway waiting to arrive at the station. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x69. Suddenly, the system gave a large points reward, which made Gu Huiyan a little confused. Ding dong. Before Gu Huiyan could react, his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was a message from Zhang Nuan. Because he had to go home for a few days, Gu Huiyan simply gave Zhang Nuan a holiday. His family didn't have a place for his assistant to live, so it was free to rent a room for her. Because of this matter, Zhang Nuan complained a lot about him. When he opened the message, Gu Huiyan found that what Zhang Nuan sent was actually a hot search link, which seemed to be his hot search for Special Forces travel. Walk. After just a few cursory glances, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but stare. Are you saying that even if you take the airport bus or the subway back home, you can be on the hot search? This is so easy, so ridiculous. Gu Huiyan scratched his head. Actually, there was one thing that he was quite embarrassed about. That was that he didn't suddenly think of taking a taxi until he saw someone on the hot search saying that he was reluctant to take a taxi. It's just, how do I put it? In Gu Huiyan's world, taking a taxi is a very luxurious thing. He rarely takes a taxi and almost always takes the subway or bus when going out. Gradually, taking a taxi as a mode of transportation has been eliminated from his world. Forgotten. Maybe it was because he suddenly became rich for a short period of time, and he had not yet adapted to the life of money. When he got off the plane, his first reaction was not to take a taxi, but to buy an airport bus ticket first. You're just used to it, okay. I have to change this habit in the future. Gu Huiyan scratched his head. Although the system contributed a lot of points to him, people everywhere on the internet said that he had eyebrows, so he thought it was quite embarrassing, you know. Impressed. Gu Huiyan held his forehead in silence. He was about to turn off his phone and listen to some children's songs after watching the video, when he suddenly saw comments saying Pei Jingshu is following him. Gu Huiyan was a little curious at that time, so he clicked on the relevant video. It didn't matter if he didn't watch it. The two ladies who were following him looked more and more familiar the more they watched. Gu Huiyan even zoomed in to see it, it looked so familiar. If I remember correctly, he was sitting with these two people on the plane, right? He also felt that one of them looked very much like Pei Jingshu. Someone online photographed these two women following him from the airport to the subway. Isn't that now? Gu Huiyan looked around and saw two familiar figures from the right. This. It's funny, Gu Huiyan discovered that Pei Jingshu was following him, and he found out from the hot search. The current network is really real-time. He's watching. Come on. Pei Jingshu and her assistant quickly lowered their heads when they noticed Gu Huiyan looking over. Gu Huiyan received a lot of comments. He was originally not sure if it belonged to Pei Jingshu, but some netizens said that these two women had been following him, and some netizens said that they took pictures of Pei Jingshu coming out of the hotel wearing the outfit she wore today. Have photos. Gu Huiyan clicked it and took a look. Well, it was really the hotel where Pei Jingshu stayed. So. Is that really Pei Jingshu? Did she really follow him from Changsha all the way to Quanchang? It's almost certain. Gu Huiyan looked around, then simply walked over with his suitcase. He stood in front of Pei Jingshu. Originally, in order not to be discovered by Gu Huiyan, Pei Jingshu and her assistant kept their heads down. Then a funny scene happened. That was Pei Jingshu, who had her head lowered. Suddenly she found that the light in front of her was blocked, and there were many shadows. Before she could raise her head to look, a head suddenly popped out from underneath. Gu Huiyan tilted his head, bent his waist, and looked at Pei Jingshu from below at a very strange and tricky angle. Pook! Pei Jingshu really didn't hold back. She sat up and said softly. "You, what are you doing, this handsome guy?" Originally, Gu Huiyan felt that he had made a mistake until just now. How could Pei Jingshu be so busy and follow him home? These two may be paparazzi, fans, or something. But it wasn't until Pei Jingshu opened her mouth and the sound came out that Gu Huiyan was really sure it was her. Her voice is so recognizable, and she has the ability to surpass all the senior singers and win the title of Singer of the Times. Do you think her fame is in vain? Gu Huiyan could not recognize Pei Jingshu with her face covered, or Pei Jingshu with simple clothes, but it was impossible not to recognize her voice. So familiar. Pack. Gu Huiyan pinched his waist and stood on the iron pole in the middle of the subway. He tilted his head and looked at Pei Jingshu and said, "Come on, keep pretending." He crossed his hands and looked like I'm watching you pretend. At this time, some people nearby looked over. In fact, there were people on the subway who recognized Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu, but they were not sure. They mostly took photos secretly, and few actually came to say hello. Now Gu Huiyan went over to talk to Pei Jingshu, which immediately attracted their attention. "You, sit down quickly." Seeing that there was going to be onlookers, Pei Jingshu hurriedly pulled Gu Huiyan to sit down. If there were onlookers in the subway, she wouldn't be able to get out and would be blocked directly underground. Okay. By the way, this was the first time in her life that she had taken the subway. If her assistant hadn't helped her to swipe the code to enter the subway just now, she would have lost track of Gu Huiyan. She was anxious, but Gu Huiyan was not too anxious. He still looked like he was interrogating, and asked Pei Jingshu with a suppressed smile. "What are you doing? You've been following me from the airport to now, and you still don't want anyone to tell you." Who is following you?" Seeing more and more people paying attention to them, Pei Jingshu became anxious. She pulled on the corner of Gu Huiyan's clothes, her eyes full of pleading, but because of her sunglasses, Gu Huiyan couldn't see much. In the subway, Gu Huiyan didn't embarrass Pei Jingshu, he smiled and sat next to her consciously. Taking advantage of the situation, he held her hand. Under the mask, a blush appeared on Pei Jingshu's beautiful face, and the corners of her mouth rose unconsciously. The assistant had no consciousness of being a light bulb at all. When he was recognized, he stopped pretending and even complained about Gu Huiyan. "Teacher Gu, we really suffered a lot from following you. Sister Pei has never taken the subway, but you just swiped your phone to get in. It took us a long time just to buy the tickets. It seems that the subway was just opened in Quancheng a few years ago. It was not dug before because there were many underground springs. There are actually only 2 cities in the country that are not easily accessible by subway. One is Xi'an, the ancient capital of the 6 dynasties, and the other is Quancheng. There are so many underground tombs in Xi'an that it is impossible to dig them all. Quancheng belongs to. After digging, the spring water came out gurglingly. It was impossible to dig this thing due to the natural geographical factors and immature technology. Even now, after the subway has been dug, the water in the first spring under the sky feels much smaller. We may not have dug it, but groundwater actually has some knock-on effects. Pei Jingshu has never taken the subway before. It is really not an exaggeration. She grew up in a wealthy family and was picked up and dropped off by car when she went out. When she grew up and became popular at work, she could not go to public places such as subway or bus. Planted a place. The subway codes here are all swiped by each person. Pei Jingshu didn't even know what a ride code was, so her assistant helped her get in. They almost lost Gu Huiyan because of this. Thinking of what happened to them today, the assistant couldn't help but want to complain. How could a star like Gu Huiyan fly in economy class, get off the airport bus, and even transfer to the subway? He's so talented, isn't he? Then I didn't know you would follow me. Gu Huiyan scratched his head. In fact, even if Zhang Nuan followed him, he wouldn't be like this. He was mainly alone and didn't care about any means of transportation. He used to take buses and subways, but why can't he take them now? I sit here every time I go home, I'm used to it. If Pei Jingshu followed him openly, he would definitely not be able to take Pei Jingshu on the subway. At this moment, Gu Huiyan felt a little distressed. It doesn't matter. On the contrary, it was Pei Jingshu who said softly. I've never sat on one before, so I'd like to experience it. She was always so understanding, which made Gu Huiyan feel quite embarrassed. Didn't you say you have a job? Why? Gu Huiyan really didn't expect that she would follow him. To be honest, he was very moved. He felt that in the relationship between the two of them, Pei Jingshu always wanted to give more and not let him lose. Cancelled temporarily. Pei Jingshu explained something to Gu Huiyan in person. The assistant also said that she came without telling Pei Yat. She was a little excited when she talked about Pei Jingshu's first time secretly doing bad things. After saying this, the assistant became curious. Teacher Xiaogu, how did you discover us? So cool. She is very curious. Gu Huiyan was so carefree all the way and never looked back. They followed Gu Huiyan all the way on the plane and even looked at each other without recognizing him. Why did he suddenly run up to Pei Jingshu and stare at her with a look of confirmation? Oh, I'm from the hot search side. Gu Huiyan explained that it was the hot search sent by Zhang Nuan. It's on trending searches. The assistant and Pei Jingshu were both a little surprised. They quickly took out their mobile phones to take a look. It didn't matter, they were actually hooked. Etc. Pei Jingshu didn't realize the seriousness of the matter at first, until the assistant opened her eyes wide and said with a look of horror. Doesn't the trending search mean that our matter has been discovered? Ah. Pei Jingshu frowned slightly. What did she want to say? Was she discovered? What's the meaning? She didn't understand. But soon. Ding dong dong. Her cell phone rang. I picked it up and saw that the caller was elder sister Pei Yat. For a moment, Pei Jingshu was silent. I also suddenly understood what the assistant just said. It was on the hot search, which means that they secretly followed Gu Huiyan home without telling Pei Yat, and it was exposed. Ding dong dong. The phone kept ringing, but Pei Jingshu didn't dare to answer it. She even handed the phone to her assistant. The assistant's mouth twitched wildly and said, Sister Pei, we don't want to blame anyone. When the ringing finally ended, none of them dared to answer Pei Ya's call. Ding dong dong. After hanging up here, the assistant's cell phone started ringing again, and she didn't dare to answer it. She really didn't dare. Ding dong. Neither call was answered. Pei Ya sent a voice message, and Pei Jingshu clicked it to listen as if she was trembling. In her voice, Pei Ya almost shouted. Pei Jingshu, answer the phone for me. Have to. Good this time. It's over. Completely finished. Pei Jingshu silently held her forehead and glanced at Gu Huiyan. She didn't know what to say for a moment. Gu Huiyan. Why are you looking at me? Gu Huiyan asked. Pei Jingshu smiled bitterly and shook her head without saying anything. On the contrary, the assistant could not help but complain. It's not because of your way of traveling. Because of Gu Huiyan's special forces style travel method, they were exposed along with Gu Huiyan. They were trending together, and they were discovered just like that. If Gu Huiyan takes business class and gets off the plane and takes a taxi back, the possibility of them being exposed is really low. It's easy to hide it. It's not like celebrities don't go out alone in private. Who allowed him to go to so many public places? Here. Gu Huiyan still looked innocent. He wanted to say that you didn't tell me either. What the hell is this? At this time, far away in the south of the Yangtze River, a villa area, Pei Jingshu's agent sister Pei Ya, who had just arrived at the door of the house, was so angry that her delicate body was shaking. Well, my sister has learned bad things and now she dares to pursue her lover without telling her. If it hadn't been a hot search, she wouldn't have known about it. Too much. She really passed the shit this time. What's wrong? I'm so angry. At the right time, a kind-faced woman walked out of the living room of the villa. The woman was wearing a house skirt and a simple and elegant shawl. Her eyebrows and eyes were somewhat similar to Pei Jingshu. Apparently she is the mother of Pei Jingshu and Pei Ya. What else can happen? Pei Ya gritted her teeth and couldn't help but said as if she was complaining. Your little girl ran away with a man. Ah. Mother Pei frowned, then couldn't help laughing, shook her head slightly, and said with a smile. If she likes it, let her be. Don't worry about her too much. She's not a child anymore. As a mother, she and Pei Jingshu's father taught Pei Jingshu the difference between good and evil since she was a child. She believed that the boy Pei Jingshu liked would be good. In fact, many real rich girls are like this. The family has taught them well since childhood, teaching them all about good and evil, right and wrong, and good manners. They believe that she has the ability to distinguish, and everything is done to her. That little Gu. After watching the show, Pei's mother felt that he was a down-to-earth person, quite talented, and quite handsome. You think I want to take care of it? Pei Ya rolled her eyes and said. She has been allowed to do whatever she likes since she was a child. Why have you always been so permissive to your little girl? Pei's mother smiled when she heard this and said. Then what she likes has never been wrong, right? Pei Jingshu likes to sing and wanted to take the Zhejiang music test. She took the test and she got the first place in her major. Pei Jingshu wanted to be a star, so she participated in the talent show, won the music talent show, won the Bird's Nest Championship, and is now a top-tier talent. She has really taken the template of a great heroine and can do whatever she wants. For a moment, Pei Ya was speechless. Why do you feel like you don't feel at ease when you go home? What are you doing? Why do my family members also talk to outsiders? How good is that Gu Huiyan? She also wants to bless them like her family, and also likes a little Gu Huiyan. However, just look at the hot searches on the internet right now. He took Pei Jingshu to take the subway, okay. When would she be willing to take Pei Jingshu to take the subway? Did you have a good life following that boy Gu Huiyan? Isn't this enough to prove that she is right? She was not angry, but mainly felt sorry for Pei Jingshu, and felt that Pei Jingshu would appear to be too low-priced. Are you so supportive of that guy? You love brain. Seeing Pei's mother looking like a shepherd, she couldn't help but roll her eyes and said. Your little girl is being taken to take the subway now. The next step is to take her to farm. Do you believe it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 186. Haha, it's not that serious. Mother Pei tightened the shawl on her shoulders and said with a smile. It doesn't matter even if she goes to farm, she should experience how difficult life is. Pei Jingshu's mother not only looks very similar to her, but also has a similar personality. She is sensible, understands right and wrong, and is as gentle as water. Pei Ya was speechless again, so she had to change the subject and said. The temperature there has been over 40 degrees recently, so you're not worried about your little girl getting exposed. I saw the weather forecast said the maximum temperature would be 39 degrees. Because they don't report it when it's 39 degrees. Ah. The mother and daughter chatted at the door for a long time before going in. Why are you calling me back this time? Putting on her slippers and sitting on the sofa, Pei Ya took the coffee from her aunt, hugged a pillow, and asked while drinking. Mother Pei smiled softly, then picked up the phone from the table and opened the photo album on the phone. Inside. It's some pictures of boys. You are now a grown man. It's time to think about your own affairs. You can't always focus on Jingshu. This. Mommy. The corners of Pei Ya's mouth twitched crazily, and her back molars almost chattered. Before she came back, she heard that there was something very important at home, so she was called back, but it turned out to be this. Please. Is it because of this nonsense that she didn't follow Pei Jingshu and asked her to take the economy class, take the subway, and follow that old-timer Gu Huayan home? What the hell? At this moment, Pei Ya had a lot of things to complain about in her heart. If the person in front of her wasn't her mother, she really couldn't help it. You. Mother Pei smiled bitterly, comforted her daughter, and said something very heartbreaking. My sister already has a boyfriend, but you are still alone. What? Do you really want to live with your sister for the rest of your life? Pei Ya. She was silenced for a moment. Just think, my sister's boyfriend wouldn't agree either, Mother Pei said with a smile. Pei Ya was silent again and was so angry that she twisted her mouth. You know the image of the Dragon King with a crooked mouth? A long time. Pei Ya couldn't help but ask. Mommy, am I your daughter? Why does it feel like the whole world wants to make her angry? The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Pei Ya gritted her teeth. It's all Gu Huayan's fault. No matter, it's his fault anyway. No. She can't stay in this house any longer. She wants to go to Pei Jingshu's side to save Baoke from fire and water. She couldn't really watch her sister dig wild vegetables. Cannot. Absolutely not. At the same time, here in Quancheng, Gu Huayan originally planned to take the subway and go home directly, but didn't Pei Jingshu follow him? He definitely couldn't let her follow him home, and he had to find a hotel for her first. So they got off the car at the nearest subway station and took a taxi to a nearby relatively high-end hotel that Gu Huayan knew. It's not expensive for a day, more than 1,400. In a small city, it's hard to find more expensive hotels. Gu Huayan is a local and he has almost never stayed in local hotels. It's good to find this hotel. The assistant went over to handle the check-in procedure and Gu Huayan paid the money. Pei Jingshu sat aside and waited quietly. This actually made the assistant look at him with admiration. This guy couldn't bear to take a taxi to get home from the airport. He took the airport bus for 20 to 30 yuan and the subway for a few yuan, but he was willing to give Pei Jingshu more than 1,000 yuan to live in. A pretty good local hotel. I am willing to spend money on Pei Jingshu. That's pretty good. At this time, Pei Jingshu was holding a folding fan given to her by Gu Huayan, fanning gently. The summer in Quancheng was very hot. She had never been to a city with such a hot summer. It felt like a place where black dogs lived like Fias Hu. Is it hot? Gu Huayan took the fan and fanned her. He was sweating profusely, and the short sleeves of his shirt were a little wet on his chest. They had just come in from outside. In fact, it was okay to be in a taxi. The hotel lobby was also air-conditioned, but in just a few minutes from getting off the taxi to coming in, Gu Huayan was sweating. Don't be exaggerated, just experience the 40+ degree weather and you'll know. Fine. Pei Jingshu raised her jade hand and gently lifted her sweat-stained hair from her temples, and couldn't help but ask. Just 2 rooms. Ah, yes, Gu Huiyan nodded. Pei Jingshu's pretty face was slightly red, and she couldn't help but said coyly. Then, shall we live in the same room? The assistant lives in one room, and she and Gu Huiyan live in the same room. At this moment, Gu Huiyan didn't understand what Pei Jingshu meant, so he subconsciously said. I'm going home to live. My home is not far from here. My. As he spoke, Gu Huiyan suddenly understood what Pei Jingshu meant and immediately patted his forehead. Ah, if it's convenient for you, I don't have any objections. Pook. Pei Jingshu couldn't help but laugh out loud, and said a little shyly. You'd better, go home and live. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and cursed in his mind that he was so stupid. Was he stupid because of the heat? I didn't even hear this. Impressed. After checking in, Gu Huiyan sent Pei Jingshu upstairs to put her things. Pei Jingshu said she wanted to take off her makeup and then accompany Gu Huiyan out. The weather here is really too hot, and makeup is easy to fade when you sweat frequently, so why not take it off and play it down? It is worth mentioning that even if she takes off her makeup and is barefaced, Pei Jingshu's face is quite impressive. She instantly beats many female celebrities who put on makeup. At most, her facial features are as delicate as they are without makeup, but who can let her natural beauty? Pei Jingshu's facial features are not the kind of skin beauty at all, but the beauty of bones. This kind of facial features hardly depends on makeup, not to mention that her skin is also in good condition, and she follows the pure white moonlight route. After taking off her makeup, you feel like she is purer. If you give her a school uniform and say she is a high school girl, people will believe her. After all, she is a female star. Pei Jingshu's private aesthetic is always online. She wears a niche design white dress, a pair of white sneakers, and a white bag on her back. White makes you look white. Pei Jingshu's skin is very white. Putting on this white dress makes her look white and glowing. Show gentleness from head to toe. Here you go. Gu Huiyan took out a black sun protection mask from his pocket and handed it to Pei Jingshu. It was made of eye silk and a sun protection hat with only a brim. To be honest, it looked a bit ugly after putting it on, like an ant riding an electric bicycle on the roadside, but Pei Jingshu still took it and put it on, and after putting it on, she obviously felt much more comfortable when going out. She was wearing that thick mask and hat before, and it was really hot. The things Gu Huiyan gave her were always like this, not pretty, but really practical. Sure enough, only locals can adapt to local summer. Hotel entrance. Gu Huiyan took Pei Jingshu and his assistant into a business car. Gu Huiyan spent 2,000 yuan to rent it from the hotel. Generally, hotels like this will have cars for pickup and pickup from the station. You can also use it privately by spending a little more money. As I said before, if it were Gu Huiyan himself, it wouldn't matter what mode of transportation he used. He would also enjoy taking the subway and bus. But now that Pei Jingshu is here, he can't let Pei Jingshu suffer with him. This made the assistant quite satisfied and couldn't help but secretly said to Pei Jingshu. Teacher Xiao Gu is definitely a good man. You say that a man who only takes his girlfriend to live a good life is not necessarily a good man. A man who only takes his girlfriend to live a hard life is definitely not a good man. But he lived a hard life by himself, but lived a good life with his girlfriend. He must be a good man. Pei Jingshu smiled softly, feeling a little proud for no reason. But when he turned around, he found that Gu Huiyan was holding his arm and stroking it. What are you doing? She couldn't help but be curious. No, it's just. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and asked in confusion. Why do you girls always feel so cold? It's hard to say how fragrant a girl's body smells in summer. If it's a particularly hot place, the scent of sweat will be diluted, but it's really cool when it's cool. You are like Pei Jingshu's arm, white and tender, and feel like a baby's skin, Still cold to the touch. It feels more comfortable than a popsicle. Us. What's funny is that Pei Jingshu's brain circuit seems a little strange. She smiled and asked. Which girl have you touched in the summer? Her tone was soft, but it gave people the feeling of killing. For a moment, Gu Huiyan was speechless. I don't dare to say it, I really don't dare to say it. Ha ha. The assistant in front gloated. The car was driving slowly, and they were quite happy on the road. It was rare that Pei Jingshu had time to take care of Huiyan, and they traveled together in private. This kind of time was worth enjoying. At this time, Pei Jingshu is not the domestic entertainment beauty whose face appears on the big screen and can make a stadium of 10,000 people cheer. Gu Huiyan is not a rascal with a timbre who can make the audience crawl with goosebumps whenever he opens his voice. He is also a musical talent. Abandoning their glamorous celebrity status, they are just the most ordinary and sweet young couple in love. Now they were going to Gu Huiyan's house, not to take Pei Jingshu home to meet her parents, which was too fast, but mainly because Gu Huiyan wanted to go home and put some things away. Gu Huiyan's home is in a pretty good high-rise residential area. It seems to be a newly built community. The environment is actually good and the surrounding facilities are complete, but the location is a bit out of the way. Our family used to live in a small two-story building in the village. This house was bought by my mother for my wife. Gu Huiyan was still teasing him when he entered the house with his luggage. Pei Jingshu was a little shy after hearing this. In fact, this environment is quite good. She may live a life many times better than this, but as long as she thinks of that. The young couple works a 9-to-5 job in a small county town, earning enough money to live in a small house of more than 100 square meters. In fact, it's quite satisfying. She's quite naive. This house was bought with a loan. While pulling the things into the room and putting them down, Gu Huiyan said casually. When I come back this time, I will pay off all the loans, and then buy a few more houses to give my brother a wife, or give the money to my mother. This is what he muttered to himself. In fact, Gu Huiyan has always been very down to earth. After making money, he is not high profile or showy, and knows that the money is spent in useful places. To buy this house, my family has taken a loan for 30 years, and I have to pay the mortgage every month. Opening a fried skewers shop in a small county town can't make much money every year, and most of them have to pay for it. There is also a younger brother in the family who goes to school. Life is hard, haha. Gu Huiyan had no ability before. When he was a trainee, living in the capital was a problem. He occasionally had to go out to sing, which couldn't help the family. Sometimes it was a hindrance. Now that I have the ability, I will definitely supplement my family income as soon as possible. To be honest, the life of Gu Huiyan's family is actually not difficult. Nowadays, doing some business is better than working. There is a small two-story house in the village and he can buy an apartment in a small county town. He is already doing well enough. But it's limited to not bad. Nowadays, many house slaves are much worse off than their families. Once it is related to the mortgage that has lasted for decades, life will become difficult to live. And after listening to Gu Huiyan's words, both Pei Jingshu and the assistant were a little silent for a while. Gu Huiyan stood at the door of the room and looked at him packing his suitcase, and felt a little moved for a while. Some people always say that Gu Huiyan is so popular, and he acts like a deer all day long. He flies in economy class, takes the subway and is reluctant to take a taxi. That's not because he is stingy, but because he knows how difficult it is for ordinary people to make money. He earned a house in their small county town, which cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. He could write a song and accept an advertisement. But his mother in a small county town had to work from dawn to dusk to open a shop and pay off the mortgage for 30 years in order to have such a house. When his family is still living like this, what qualifications does he have to squander it? The more you get to know Gu Huiyan, the more you find his down-to-earth personality very attractive. He's really real. Before, the assistant said that Sister Pei would definitely not have a good life following Gu Huiyan. Now she just wants to slap herself twice. Even if you wake up in the middle of the night, you may have to give yourself 2 big fights. She wanted to say that she was really not human. As for Pei Jingshu, she just walked over silently and said a little seriously, "I'm rich." Ah, Gu Huiyan was stunned for a moment. "I am." What Pei Jingshu actually wants to express is, "I feel sorry for you, don't worry about money, I have money, I can make money, I can support you, you can spend it as you want. But this is what I feel." Not easy to express. After talking for a long time, he actually said, "I am rich." Even Gu Huiyan was stunned. It was also fun for Gu Huiyan. He probably understood what Pei Jingshu meant. He just smiled and said, "It's okay, don't worry, I can make money too." He emphasized the words "I can also make money" very seriously, as if he was teasing Pei Jingshu. Puff. The assistant couldn't help but laugh on the sidelines. It's so funny. 2 popular artists who started out with commercial performance fees of tens or millions of dollars are struggling here to see whether they can make money. Oh, there is watermelon. Let me cut some watermelon for you to eat. After packing his things, Gu Huiyan took a look in the refrigerator and found watermelon. It's noon, the hottest time. It's so refreshing to have a bite of ice-cold watermelon at this time of summer. A very detailed thing is that Gu Huiyan ran to the kitchen to get a kitchen knife, ran back halfway, washed the knife with dish soap, and then came back to cut. "Don't worry, there is definitely no garlic smell in this watermelon," he told Pei Jingshu in great detail. Pook. Pei Jingshu couldn't help but laugh out loud. In fact, she wanted to say that when she was at home, her aunt would occasionally use a knife that had just cut onions and garlic to cut watermelon. This is an almost universal phenomenon across the country, regardless of rich or poor class. Watermelon without garlic taste is not authentic when eaten. While eating watermelon, Gu Huiyan asked Pei Jingshu where she wanted to go. Pei Jingshu said she didn't know. They came with Gu Huiyan on a temporary basis. She just wanted to accompany Gu Huiyan. It didn't matter whether they wanted to have fun or not. As a local, it stands to reason that Gu Huiyan should take Pei Jingshu to visit the local attractions. What is the best spring in the world? But the weather is so hot. As soon as I left the air-conditioned room, I was covered in sweat. Gu Huiyan really couldn't bear to let Pei Jingshu go sightseeing with him on a hot day. What's more, in fact, if he and Pei Jingshu went to a crowded public place without protection, it would be easy for them to attract onlookers and get crowded. It is not an exaggeration. He can underestimate his own popularity, but he must not underestimate Pei Jingshu's popularity. She is really a big star. "How about I take you to my hometown to play?" Gu Huiyan asked. He felt that people like Pei Jingshu who were used to living in the city might be interested in the northern countryside. Although his family no longer lives in the village, they still have a small 2-story house in the village. Occasionally, his mother is fine. "I will also clean it up and make it habitable." Okay. As expected, Pei Jingshu readily agreed, and she happened to really want to know more about the environment in which Gu Huiyan grew up. In fact, what they have come to this point is just their good impression of each other. To say that they really know each other well, they really don't know much. And she was willing to get to know Gu Huiyan better. After eating the melon, Gu Huaqiang tidied up and took Pei Jingshu and his assistant out. He went straight to the nearby pedestrian street, where Gu Huiyan's fried skewers shop was opened. Gu Huiyan wanted to go over to say hello to his family and get the key to his hometown. On the way, Pei Jingshu asked, "Will I delay your reunion with your family?" She felt that after Gu Huiyan finally came back, his family would be worried about him because of all the turmoil on the internet. But when he was taken away by her as soon as he came back, would it make his family unhappy? No, we can just meet you tonight. I have to stay at home for a few days, so I have plenty of time to meet you. Gu Huiyan smiled broadly and said, you may not know that my mother and I are the kind of two of us who think about each other after not seeing each other for a long time, and feel annoyed that we can't get out of each other's sight within an hour of seeing each other. Pei Jingshu smiled when she heard this. She didn't quite understand. After all, her family environment was different since she was a child. She was an assistant, so she couldn't help laughing and said, everyone in the family is like that. Very true. While chatting, the car drove near the pedestrian street. It's worth mentioning that there are a lot of people around here. Lots and lots. Too much is a bit exaggerated. Originally, this was an old pedestrian street. I was afraid it was summer vacation, not weekend. It was so hot at noon and not many people went out to eat. Many of them ordered takeout. But today, the pedestrian street is overcrowded. Gu Huiyan had never seen so many people on this street during the Chinese New Year before when he was at home. What's going on? The assistant was stunned for a moment and glanced at Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan grinned, probably guessing something. In the past, I heard my mother say that because it became popular, the business of his fried skewers shop was getting better and better day by day. It was often full from morning to night, and even later it drove the sales of the entire street. But I didn't expect so exaggerated. In fact, I also wanted to design some plot foreshadowing for Pei Jingshu's family, but I always felt that it was a bit silly, so why not make it more funny and let's watch it in a relaxed way. Then a friend told me about going to farm. Please, can I really take Sister Pei to experience farming? You can't bear to endure labor and management. This plot is definitely more exciting than you think. Keep reading, I feel that these chapters are of high quality. In addition, if you have a monthly ticket, don't be stingy, bosses, beg, 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 beg. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 187. It was indeed an exaggeration. There were people everywhere near Gu Huiyan's fried skewers shop. Normally there are not so many people. But today, because the news about Gu Huiyan's return has been trending, some people may think that they can get to Gu Huiyan here. In addition, it's summer vacation recently. College students are all at home. They are the most enthusiastic among the star-chasing groups. They just gathered here when they had nothing to do. So there are especially many people today. Even if you can't sit down with Gu Huiyan, you still have lunch. Gu Huiyan has been making fried skewers for many years, and the taste is still worthy of praise. This is really hard on Gu's mother and brother Gu Zun. It can't be blown up, it can't be blown up at all. So you still want to go? Pei Jingshu asked funnily. Go ahead. Gu Huiyan smiled bitterly, because he often had to go back to his hometown to clean after the store closed, so Gu Ma usually left the keys in the store. How could he get the keys if he didn't go there? Do you need me to go with you? Pei Jingshu asked. I think it would be better to go say hello to my aunt. Forget it. Gu Huiyan smiled bitterly and shook his head. Pei Jingshu's face was so eye-catching. Gu Huiyan could still come back if she went alone. If she went with him, it was uncertain whether she could come back. The main reason is that there is no way to guarantee Pei Jingshu's safety. All right. Pei Jingshu chuckled and said. Help Auntie and I take care of it. Good. Gu Huiyan nodded and thought about it. When he got out of the car, he still didn't wear a mask. He just wore sunglasses and no hat. At this time, he was wearing a simple pair of large black pants and a white sleeveless top. His tan skin from Yunnan had recovered a bit in the past 2 days. He was quite handsome, so he felt refreshed. He really has the image of a big boy next door. After he got off the car, he ran non-stop to his store. At that time, some customers in the store and some passers-by outside were talking to each other. I heard that Gu Huiyan has returned home, but I don't know if he will come here. I just asked my aunt, and she said she hasn't contacted him yet. Haha, auntie is so miserable. Her son makes so much money, but she can't finish the skewers here. Some people will discuss Gu Huiyan, and some will feel sorry for Gu's mother. Let's just say that her sons are both popular artists, but Ms. Wang's scandals are getting more and more explosive, and there is no end in sight. When any customer mentioned Gu Huiyan, she would look bored and wished she could slap Gu Huiyan a few times. It's quite funny. What is gratifying is that some young female guests occasionally call her mom, mother-in-law and so on, which is quite happy to hear. At this time, some customers inside and outside the store were discussing Gu Huiyan. Suddenly, a flaming figure jumped over. At that time, there was a passerby girl who was sitting on the roadside eating fried skewers. She was sitting opposite Gu Huiyan and watched as Gu Huiyan, who looked so familiar, ran past. "Ah!" she shouted directly. People around him were dumbfounded and didn't know what was happening. Then I heard, "Ah! Gu Huiyan. Ah, it's him. He's coming. He's really coming." Many people are shouting. So many people. They shouted wildly, and then subconsciously took out their mobile phones. They rushed to Gu Huiyan without even eating. There were a lot of people in the store at that time. Gu Ma was frying skewers when she suddenly saw a familiar figure running in and going straight to the refrigerator to get a drink. "Ah!" Before Gu Ma could react, the female customer next to her suddenly screamed, "Give her a fright." Then I saw the female customer and several dear people who rushed in together holding their mobile phones and taking pictures around Gu Huiyan. Hello you guys. The weather was so hot, Gu Huiyan first took out a bottle of ice-cold Sprite from the refrigerator and drank it for a while, then said hello to the girl taking pictures next to him. Only then did Gu's mother recognize her son. But because these girls were so enthusiastic, she didn't even squeeze in to say a word to Gu Huiyan. "Mother." It was Gu Huiyan again, holding 2 bottles of cold drinks and shouting, "Where are the keys to my hometown? Get them for me." After hearing this, Ma Gu had black lines on her forehead and couldn't help but ask, "Why are you running to your hometown when you have nothing to do on a hot day?" She hadn't seen Gu Huiyan for a long time. During the Chinese New Year, Gu Huiyan came back to celebrate the New Year. He left after the Chinese New Year and only came back for the first time now. Mother Gu was still distressed when she sent him away at the beginning of the year, knowing that his life was not going as he wished. Who would have thought that just last month, this kid would become popular, and the store's business would become more and more prosperous because of him? At first, Gu's mother was happy, not only for her son, but also for the good business in the store. In the first few days, she even customized a human-shaped sign of her son and placed it in front of the store to attract customers. She is not afraid of anyone suing her for infringement of her portrait rights, as her son's face will not be used in vain. But slowly, the business in the store is great. There are endless fried skewers every day, which makes everyone numb. Gradually, when people mentioned her son, she became unhappy and even wanted to slap him and take her anger out on him. Of course, this means that Gu's mother actually feels sorry for her son. Not long ago, when Gu Huiyan was blacklisted by the entire internet for exploding cow dung, she even called to show concern. Now that her son has finally come back, she hasn't even had time to take a second look at him, but this kid is about to run away. Is this ridiculous? I really feel like I'm worried about this guy for nothing. The heartless little white-eyed wolf. Ah! The female customers nearby were very excited, taking pictures with their mobile phones and shouting. "Ah, he is so handsome," a girl shouted. It is true that celebrities and entertainers are generally more handsome in private than in front of the camera. It is true that the camera can easily vilify people. After all, he is a star. Although he is always rustic, Gu Huiyan is not bad in appearance. He attracts countless fans even if he doesn't like to dress up in front of the camera, let alone behind the camera. Seeing that many people came to the door after hearing the news, Gu Huiyan had no choice but to say to his mother, "Take your daughter-in-law back to play." At that time, when he said these words, Gu Ma had not yet reacted. "Ah! Is Sister Pei here too? Where? Where?" The girls around him became excited again and even looked around for Pei Jingshu. The hot search said that Gu Huiyan went home and Pei Jingshu followed him all the way back. Now that Gu Huiyan shows up, is Pei Jingshu also nearby? Gu's mother's eyes lit up when she heard this. She didn't like her son, but she had a good impression of her son's rumored girlfriend. When Gu Huiyan was in Yunnan before, Pei Jingshu said hello to her when he had a video call with her before leaving. That girl was so beautiful. She once felt that her boy was not worthy of her. "Don't look, she didn't come with me." Gu Huiyan took another sip of Sprite, burped, and saw more and more people at the door, so he simply stretched out his hand and said, "If you don't give me the key, I really won't be able to get out, Mom." "Oh, okay." Mother Gu didn't expect her son to be so popular, so she wiped her hands and went to get the keys. She would be full of complaints when her silly son went out to play without being home, but if he took his daughter-in-law to play, that's okay. The pigs in our house know how to grow cabbage, and it is such a tender and beautiful cabbage. It's not too late for Gu's mother to be happy. After taking the key and saying hello, Gu Huiyan waved to the people around him and went out. "Ah!" a group of people exclaimed and followed him outside. When Gu Huiyan saw that this posture was wrong, he ran wildly after going out with a few bottles of cold drinks in his arms. Those dear people never thought that this old man could run so fast, so they hurried to chase him. In this way, in this pedestrian street, Gu Huiyan staged a chase battle with some passers-by. Tisk tisk. In the store, Gu Ma silently smacked her lips, thinking that these people are chasing stars nowadays. How crazy. What's wrong? Is this what it is? At this time, some nearby neighbors and merchants heard the sound and came over to greet them. Gu Ma flipped her hair and said with a smile, "It's nothing. My eldest son is back, and they are all chasing my son." One sentence. He just silenced the person next to him. There is envy, jealousy, and hatred in their eyes. Walk down the street here. Fortunately, Pei Jingshu had good eyesight. When Gu Huiyan ran over, she hurriedly asked the driver to open the door. Gu Huiyan got into the car before a group of people caught up with him. But even so. "Ah! Is that Pei Jingshu? Wow, it seems so. She looks so good. She seems to be without makeup, right? She looks so good without makeup." Just by showing her face, a group of passers-by were stunned by Pei Jingshu. That face of hers is really a killer. She showed her face offline, without makeup, and you can see what those people were shouting about. Facing so many offline passers-by and mobile phone cameras, Pei Jingshu just smiled politely, waved hello, and closed the car door. Even so. Ah! The people at the scene were still shouting crazy. Fortunately, Gu Huiyan told the driver to drive quickly, otherwise they might not be able to leave. Call. As the car drove away, Gu Huiyan breathed a sigh of relief. Then he handed a bottle of fruit orange and a bottle of Nongfu Spring in his hand to Pei Jingshu and asked, "Which one to drink? All served ice cold." "Water." Pei Jingshu pursed her lips and smiled, then took the water. Gu Huiyan casually threw the fruit orange to Pei Jingshu's assistant, which made the assistant roll his eyes. After taking the key to his hometown, Gu Huiyan showed the driver the way, all the way to Gu Huiyan's hometown. His hometown village is actually not far from the county seat. Even if you ride an electric bike, it only takes 20 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes to drive on a smooth road. In July, the rural fields in the north are planted with not too tall corn, and the scenery is full of green, and the scenery of the plains has a unique flavor. The path into the village is not an asphalt road, but a cement road. The trees on both sides have obviously been growing for many years. The leaves are so lush that they can almost completely block the sun. Walking on this road in the hot summer will give people a feeling of indifference. A very cool feeling. Sitting in the car, looking at the shadows of leaves passing by on the window glass from time to time, Pei Jingshu suddenly longed for such a small countryside. When entering the village, the first thing you see is a two-story building with a courtyard. In fact, when many people think of northern rural areas, they think they are very dirty and messy. But in fact, many northern rural areas are already very modern. For example, in the village where Gu Huiyan's family lives, the roads are not wide and there are not many houses, but almost all are two-story buildings. Those who know it have entered the village, and those who don't know are thinking of entering the villa area. Nowadays, people's lives are getting better. Who wouldn't build a house now that they have money? Instructing the driver to drive to the door of his house, Gu Huiyan got out of the car, took the key to unlock the door, opened the door, and then called them in. Maybe it's because I don't live there often, so the yard is empty and there is no atmosphere of life. However, the living room and room are quite clean, there is no dust, and there is no strange smell. Gives people a very comfortable feeling. Just entering the living room, I feel that this family should be very clean. There is a toilet installed at home, not the kind of dry toilet. Many villages in the north have actually begun to engage in sanitation planning. Dry toilets will gradually disappear from the stage of the times. Therefore, there is almost no strange smell except for some damp smell from rainwater. Just looking at the conditions, it gives people a feeling that it is more comfortable than a suite in the city. Sit wherever you like. Gu Huiyan went to turn on the air conditioner, and then asked Pei Jingshu to sit down. The house slowly became quiet, so quiet that you could hear the sound of the air conditioner. To be honest, living in the village is really quiet. You can't hear the sound of car engines or the cries of vendors outside. There should be no one in the neighbor's house at this time, and you can't even hear the sound of people talking. It all gave Pei Jingshu the feeling of wanting to take a nap. It's trending again. Do you know? At this time, the assistant holding the mobile phone couldn't help but remind him. Ah! Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu made a surprised sound at the same time. But after the surprise, they were not surprised either. At this time. Online. Hashtag Gu Huiyan takes Pei Jingshu home to meet her parents. Hashtag. Such an entry that has something to do with the UC Shock department is on the hot search list of major social platforms. That's right, the news that Gu Huiyan is taking Pei Jingshu home is finally confirmed. In the morning, when Gu Huiyan went home Special Forces style, news that Pei Jingshu was suspected of being followed spread all over the sky. In the afternoon, Gu Huiyan made a high-profile appearance at his fried skewers restaurant, and Pei Jingshu even made an appearance. Can those netizens stop exploding on the spot? The comment section below said. AHH. Sisters, I was eating skewers at his house. Gu Huiyan felt much more handsome in person than online. He is so down to earth. He would just drink from the bottle in the freezer. I was also there, and he didn't have any celebrity airs at all. He even burped after drinking the drink. Gu Huiyan, are you just promoting me like this? Ha ha ha, let me tell you, I also saw Sister Pei at the scene. She is so beautiful. No, are they meeting their parents so soon? Haha, Auntie was originally very angry when she heard that he was going to go out for fun as soon as he came back. But when she heard that Gu Huiyan was going to take her daughter-in-law to play, the Sichuan opera changed her face. It was so funny. In fact, not only Gu Huiyan was on the hot search list, but Gu Huiyan's mother Wang Hui was also on the hot search list. At that time, some videos taken by tourists in the store were circulated. In the video, Gu's mother was not very happy when Gu Huiyan first returned. As soon as Gu Huiyan said that he was taking her daughter-in-law to play, Gu's mother changed her face and laughed at the Sichuan opera. The customers who were filming with their mobile phones in the store were all laughing, not to mention the reaction of netizens after it was posted online. In itself, because Gu Huiyan became popular, the joke about Gu's mother's fried skewers can't be finished at all has been talked about by many netizens. Now that this incident has come out, Gu Ma will almost become an internet celebrity. Some netizens said that Gu Huiyan is so funny and so good at doing things, and he has something to do with his aunt. The family really doesn't know who to laugh to death. There is something to say. Gu Huiyan's high-profile talk to his mother about taking your daughter-in-law to play really shocked many people. Isn't it enviable to be able to show it to parents and speak openly to them? Having said that, it would be really troublesome for the two of them to fall in love. How come you can be exposed just for doing anything? Can't it be more private? But think about it. Many fans laughed helplessly. With Pei Jingshu's ostentatious face, how could she be private? Having said that, after Gu Huiyan became popular, he still managed to keep a low profile and go to his own fried skewers shop for drinks, which is still worthy of praise. He could obviously call an assistant to come over and get it. When the video was posted, some netizens jokingly said, "This kid is probably secretly enjoying himself. Show off to your family how popular you are, haha. Why do you think this guy has to go get a drink by himself?" They had guessed Gu Huiyan thoroughly. In fact, Gu Huiyan does have a bit of this mentality. In the past, he was working as a trainee outside, so to speak, working in the capital. None of his relatives, neighbors, or friends knew that he was just messing around with no future. In the entertainment industry, you can get involved without having any connections. Is that a star you just want to be? In the eyes of most parents, that thing is the most unreliable. For this reason, Gu Huiyan was often told every year when he came back during the Chinese New Year, "You kid, you're a big boss now, you should find some serious work. Don't you study music? Can't you play the guitar? It's better for you to be a music teacher than to be a fool outside. It's best to take an exam and get established, which is a lifelong matter." At that time, I felt very aggrieved and couldn't express my feelings. Now, Gu Huiyan got ahead of himself. Naturally, he wanted everyone to see how well he was doing. "Not only am I living a good life, but I have also found a very beautiful female star to be my girlfriend." This is also the reason why he got off the car and made a high-profile appearance without wearing a mask. People, if you want to maintain prosperity, you must endure loneliness. This silly boy is actually quite inspiring. It is worth mentioning that because Gu Huiyan's appearance at his own fried skewers shop and the drink was so funny and popular, the company even used a marketing account to market Gu Huiyan's down-to-earth spirit like crazy. Therefore, ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x69. Gu Huiyan received another critical hit with system points. Speaking of this way of gaining points, Gu Huiyan found it quite novel and quite comfortable. Hoo. At home, the air conditioner continuously outputs cold air, and the living room becomes cool after a while. Originally, Gu Huiyan was fanning Pei Jingshu with a fan. Seeing that it was getting cooler in the living room, Pei Jingshu took the fan and fanned Gu Huiyan in turn. After Gu Huiyan fanned her, he came all the way in and was busy turning on the air conditioner, boiling water, etc. His head was covered with sweat and it was almost dripping. Alas! The assistant couldn't help but said, "How about I hide?" Pei Jingshu just smiled and said nothing, but Gu Huiyan said calmly, "You shouldn't have come. I The assistant's mouth twitched crazily. At this time, there was a noise at the door of the house. A tall, thin boy who looked to be in his teens, wearing shorts and short sleeves of the same style as Gu Huiyan, rushed in on an electric bike. "Elder brother. Just shout when you enter the door." "My brother." Gu Huiyan explained to Pei Jingshu that there were 3 members of their family. His father died of illness a few years ago. They were composed of him, his mother Wang Hui, and his younger brother Gu Zun, who was in junior high school. Pei Jingshu nodded, stood up, straightened her skirt, and met Gu Huiyan's family. She was always very formal, and her ladylike tutor could be seen clearly. Little Guzun pushed the door open and walked in. After all, he was a biological brother. This boy looked very similar to Gu Huiyan, but maybe he was young and hadn't grown up yet, so he wasn't as refined as Gu Huiyan. It is worth mentioning that he is also wearing a pair of flip-flops on his feet. "Teacher Xiaogu, is this passed down from your family's ancestors?" the assistant couldn't help but tease. Gu Huiyan. Aim. Not having any experience with this light bulb assistant who has no eyesight, Gu Huiyan helped Pei Jingshu introduce Gu Zun, and also helped Gu Zun introduce Pei Jingshu and his assistant, but this boy didn't dare to look at Pei Jingshu. She is so beautiful. No matter in terms of figure, temperament, or appearance, she has no choice in everything. She is among the best among female celebrities. Offline real people will only be more beautiful. The female celebrity who usually only appeared on TV and hot searches appeared in front of him privately, in a living room with just a few people. It was so normal for a teenage boy not to dare to look at Pei Jingshu. Boys can be shy too. Aren't you a social cow? Gu Huiyan was immediately amused to see his brother like this, and even teased him. As a result, little Guzun rolled his eyes and said, "Brother, I think you are really unworthy of me." Gu Huiyan. What the hell are you talking about? Are you my biological brother? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 188. Puff. Giggle. Pei Jingshu and her assistant were so amused by Guzun that they couldn't stop laughing. Gu Huiyan kicked Guzun several times without being relieved. This kid is really poisonous. Although the 2 brothers were fighting and fighting, Pei Jingshu and her assistant could see that they had a good relationship. Generally, the relationship that had been fighting since childhood was relatively strong. Cough. After kicking his younger brother, Gu Huiyan coughed lightly, his eyes wandered, pointed at Pei Jingshu's assistant, and said casually, "If you want to have nothing to do, take this sister around." Ah. Guzun and his assistant looked at each other at the same time, but it was Pei Jingshu who couldn't help but cover her mouth and smile. Just Gu Huiyan's calculation. Who can't hear it? I don't go. The assistant hugged Pei Jingshu's arm and said, "I promised that I would watch over Sister Pei. God knows what you are going to do to Sister Pei after I leave." Her title is also quite strange. Sister is Pei Ya, and Sister Pei is Pei Jingshu. I don't know how they are unified. The message Pei Ya sent her was to keep an eye on Pei Jingshu no matter what. If there was a problem, she would stop doing it. Then she would have to keep an eye on Pei Jingshu for the sake of her job. However, let's go shopping, it's okay. Pei Jingshu gently pulled her arm out of her hand. Assistant. The assistant's expression at that time was so speechless. Okay. Guzun didn't have any objections. He had always listened to his brother's words. Of course, the main reason was that his brother had the ability to make money. He had transferred a lot of red envelopes to him as pocket money a few days ago. When you get money, you have to do things. Only. Brother, can I take a photo with you later? Before leaving, little Guzun took out a new mobile phone from his pocket and asked Gu Huiyan a little excitedly. I told my classmates that you were my brother and they didn't believe me. You don't know that many of them are your fans. His two big eyes rolled around and he said, also, get me some autographed photos later. If I don't have any money to spend, I can sell these things for pocket money. The more Gu Huiyan listened, the more he raised his eyebrows. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but kick him a few times and said, don't you learn how to do this at a young age? My grades are not bad. They are better than yours. Didn't you get your grades through art? I don't need it. If I give you pocket money in the future, I will be a fool. Aha, I was joking. The daily conversations between the two brothers were really funny and even made Pei Jingshu laugh. She considerately asked her assistant to take a photo of the three of them together, and also asked for Guzun's V letter. Explain. If you need pocket money in the future, you can ask me for it. Ah, is it really fake? Guzun's big eyes were wide open and his mouth was sweet. Thank you, sister-in-law. He seemed always excited. When no one was around, he would secretly mutter, I have a letter from Pei Jingshu, Pei Jingshu. That is Pei Jingshu, who is known as the famous face of domestic entertainment, the top female star, popular artist, the purest white moonlight Pei Jingshu in the eyes of countless boys. Now he can show off enough. Is this good? Gu Huiyan asked with a wry smile. It's not that he is afraid that Guzun will ask for Pei Jingshu's pocket money. His brother knows that although he is cheap, he is not so shameless. He can ask Gu Huiyan for it, and Gu Huiyan will not refuse to give it. The main reason is that artists rarely add irrelevant people to their private V-mails. Is it really appropriate to add Pei Jingshu, a top-tier popular artist, to the V-mail of a junior high school student? What's wrong? Pei Jingshu took her cell phone and looked through Guzun's WeChat moments, and couldn't help but be struck by how cute this brother-in-law was. People in his WeChat moments called his brother Gu Huiyan all day long, and even posted some ugly photos of Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan happened to catch a glimpse of. Gu Huiyan was not calm at that time. Guzun's circle of friends for him was blocked. It was normal for a family to avoid suspicion, so he usually couldn't see what his brother posted. Unexpectedly, he even posts ugly photos. Guzun, come here. Gu Huiyan gritted his teeth and killed him. Eh? What are you doing, brother? Hey, hey. Ah. Guzun's screams came from the yard. He didn't want to post ugly photos of Gu Huiyan. The main reason was that the brothers didn't have many photos together, and there weren't much to see in the previous photos. Gu Huiyan didn't come back often, so why would he post ugly photos if he didn't? You have to show off to your classmates. Pei Jingshu covered her mouth and looked at the scene with a smile. In fact, she felt that Gu Huiyan's family was quite easy to get along with. His mother gave people a very peaceful feeling during the video call before, and his brother was even a little funny. It's no wonder that Gu Huiyan has such a cheerful personality, it probably has something to do with such a family. To be honest, Pei Jingshu is a little envious of such a family. She can say anything and often joke and fight. Their family belongs to some. It's so respectful to each other. So cultured. It will dilute the family feeling a little bit. After the laughter, Gu Huiyan kicked Guzun and his assistant away, and told him to take his assistant out to buy something, planning to have a barbecue at home in the evening. In a small courtyard in the countryside, go to the rooftop and have a barbecue in the summer, not to mention it will be more moisturizing. Let's go by car. Seeing that Guzun wanted to ride an electric bike, Gu Huiyan simply told him to take the commercial car. As for the electric bike, leave it to him and Pei Jingshu. Before leaving, Gu Huiyan specially transferred some money to Guzun and asked him to take his assistant around for a while and try not to come back until it was dark. His brother readily agreed. Let's go, I'll take you to a good place. Gu Huiyan took the electric car key and pushed it out, pointing to the way he came and said. There are a lot of trees over there and the road can't get any Sunday. Good. Pei Jingshu straightened her skirt and sat generously in the back seat of Gu Huiyan's electric car. She felt that Gu Huiyan understood her very well. Compared with taking her to visit the scenic spots in Quancheng, she really preferred spending time in this kind of countryside. Have fun riding an electric bike on the back roads. Speaking of which, she has never been able to ride an electric bicycle. Gu Huiyan taught her once before when she was in Dali, but she didn't have time to teach her a second time. If I have a chance today, it would be a good time. There are many shade trees on the path over there, so it won't be too sunny or too hot. It is afternoon now. The weather has been hot in the past few days. Old men and women who have nothing to do in the countryside will hold a cattail leaf fan and a horse under the shade of the village entrance to enjoy the shade. They talk to each other about the shortcomings of the East and the West. There is a star in our village. Do you know him? As for that boy Gu Huiyan, I bought him candy when he was a child. He doesn't look like a star. My little granddaughter calls me every day and tells me to ask for his autograph if she sees him. We don't know where to go. The old man and old lady at the entrance of the village is the most powerful intelligence organization in our country. It can make you prosperous or ruin your reputation. As long as you walk over, you will be the next one to become famous. They can tell you what heaven and hell are in 5 minutes. As the most handsome boy in the village in recent times, Gu Huiyan must be their first choice for discussion. At this time, Gu Huiyan drove Pei Jingshu past them on an electric car. Hey, third uncle. Aunt. Is it cool? Unlike other young people who returned to the village, Gu Huiyan, a social gangster, waved and said hello. Having grown up in the village, Gu Huiyan basically knows the uncles and aunts who stay at the entrance of the village to enjoy the shade in the summer. They are all from the same village, and many of them are related to each other. Others would not dare to be so generous when facing the old men and women at the entrance of the village when they go home. Gu Huiyan is different. This boy has been a social gangster since he was a child. He feels that instead of saying nothing and feeling that others are saying bad things about you behind your back, it is better to say hello head on. Not to mention other people's comments. It's a big deal for ordinary people. For artists like Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu, this is too common. What they usually endure is a large area of anti-fan discussion. This is nothing at the entrance of the village, just a little karami. Just think of these resident guests at the entrance of the village. They are actually quite smart. They will only talk about you behind your back, but they can pretend to be someone in front of you. Isn't this? The uncles and aunts who were feeling sour just now immediately changed their faces in Sichuan opera as soon as they saw Gu Huiyan saying hello, and said hello cheerfully. Hey, when did you come back? Come home and play, kid. Your sister is at home, come for dinner tonight. So enthusiastic. Basically, he has a completely different image from the sour face of Gu Huiyan whom we just talked about. Just came back. No, I have something to do tonight. Gu Huiyan said hello cheerfully, turned the switch and left without stopping. Their greeting couldn't help but make Pei Jingshu laugh. It was the first time she had seen such a simple way of greeting fellow villagers. What a fake politeness. I've seen it in videos before, but I didn't expect to see it in real life today. Let's just say that Gu Huiyan is really a very bright guy. He can even say hello to the uncles and aunts at the entrance of the village, but there is no one else. Pei Jingshu couldn't help but think that with such a boyfriend, she would definitely be well protected when going out. Of course, occasionally she would be amused by Gu Huiyan's dialect. As for the dialect in Shandong, you feel that no matter who speaks it, it will turn into dirt as soon as it is spoken. When she first heard Gu Huiyan say it, she almost broke her filter on Gu Huiyan. But in fact, it's okay after listening to it too much. It's a bit bold, a bit wild, and a bit funny in it, and it's quite simple. Okay, let's go play. This young man haha. What's funny is that just as Gu Huiyan walked away, the others on the back started talking again. Is the one sitting behind him his girlfriend? I heard my granddaughter say that he found a female star to be his girlfriend. Oh, that one really looks like a female star. That little Near is so handsome. TCH, I think my granddaughter is no worse than her. Gu Huiyan rode his bike and took Pei Jingshu westward along the path to the west of the village. There was a spring on the west side of the mountain. It wasn't a spring. It was a natural wellhead on the mountain. Every summer when there was abundant rain, the water would overflow. Come, flow to the foot of the mountain to form a stream. It's summer now, the rain is okay this year, and the springs on the mountain have opened. Pattering. The spring water is cool and flows down from the mountain into a stream. When Gu Huiyan went out, he took a pair of slippers for himself and Pei Jingshu. In this stream in the mountains and fields, he wore a pair of iconic flip-flops. Stepped into the water. Come. Pei Jingshu also put on slippers. Her feet were white and tender, and the slippers seemed inappropriate, but it wouldn't hurt if there was water. The weather is a bit hot, and there is no shade here in the creek, so her body temperature will be relatively high. At this time, I stepped into the cold water emerging from the spring. Ah! I felt cold all of a sudden. So refreshing. She couldn't help but be a little surprised. She didn't expect the water to be so cold. She had never seen such clear and cold water. Obviously the temperature here is so high, it must be 40 degrees or above. Even the larger lakes in other places will be heated by the water temperature in the temperate zone, but the water here. But it was a bit cold and biting. This is all underground water. It comes from the wells in the mountains. It's living water. Gu Huiyan explained. When I was a kid, I used to come here with some friends in the summer. At that time, every house didn't have air conditioning, so we all came here to splash in the water. Children in rural areas are not as wild as children in cities who can go to swimming pools, but children in rural areas are not as happy as children in cities. Let's just talk about this creek. It's really cool in summer. When Gu Huiyan was too hot when he was little, he came back to play and it really cooled him down from head to toe. In comparison, if you look at the swimming pool in the summer, there are people everywhere, and the water temperature rises with the number of people, and it is not very clean. Not to mention too many hums. The countryside is the most natural summer resort. Pei Jingshu stretched out her jade hand and picked up a handful of water to wash her face. She felt that the heat for most of the day had been cured, and her whole body came back to life. She was very glad that she took off her makeup when she arrived this morning, otherwise she wouldn't be able to experience anything right now. Walk slowly, these are all stones, it's easy to slip. Gu Huiyan just reminded Pei Jingshu. Ah! The next moment, her feet slipped, she staggered and was about to fall backwards. Gu Huiyan hurriedly went up to support her and hugged her slender waist. This scene is a bit bloody, just like the plot in an idol drama where the underwear and bandages are pulled off. Ah! Gu Huiyan was happy. Why are you laughing? Pei Jingshu was a little ashamed. I think this plot is a bit like that bloody idol drama. Gu Huiyan said cheerfully. Usually at times like this, when I hold you and we look at each other, it's time for me to kiss you. Puff. Pei Jingshu was amused. Let's just say, can't you just follow the script? Why do you have to expose it? Even if you follow the script and are in it, I won't feel greasy, okay? Am I heavy? With Gu Huiyan holding her back, Pei Jingshu showed no intention of getting up, so she asked. Not heavy, very light. Gu Huiyan's answer was perfect. Then hold on tight. Pei Jingshu's pretty face was slightly red. Before Gu Huiyan asked her what she wanted to do, she suddenly raised her hands to hold both sides of Gu Huiyan's face, and then kissed gently. Her kisses were always very light, just the most dry collision of lips. But it always gives people a feeling that is sweet to the heart. Pattering. Under their feet, the water in the creek was still flowing, and there would be ripples as it passed over their feet. The cool breath slowly wiped away the sweat on their heads even under the bright sun. After the kiss, Pei Jingshu asked, "I'll kiss you, will it stop being so bloody?" When she said this, she felt her heart beat a little faster, and she was so blushing that she didn't even dare to look at Gu Huayan. She was really not the kind of girl who was very good at taking the initiative. It was really exaggerated that she could do this. Gu Huayan scratched his head and smiled stupidly. In fact, he was a little tired holding Pei Jingshu's hand, but he was not tired at all. Even if his hand was disabled, he would have to be supported by Pei Jingshu today. He said. Then it's better to be more bloody. After the words fell, before Pei Jingshu could react, Gu Huayan lowered his head and kissed her again. You feel that at this time, Pei Jingshu was supported by Gu Huayan and fell backward, just like a cabbage for you to pick. Well. The sweetness of this moment made Pei Jingshu feel even sweeter than when Gu Huayan sang for her in Time Singer and said in public that they had not seen each other for 7 days, 11 hours and 51 minutes. So many times sweeter. She desperately wanted this moment to last forever, forever. After playing in the creek for a while, Gu Huayan took Pei Jingshu up the mountain and played for a while at the mouth of the well where the water came out. At that time, Pei Jingshu wanted to take a closer look at the well mouth, but Gu Huayan held her back and refused to let her pass. Afraid that she would fall. It made her look like a child. Can this water be drunk directly? Pei Jingshu asked. I heard that the spring water here is drinkable. That's all to deceive you outsiders. Gu Huayan smiled and said. No matter how good the spring water is, you have to go back and boil it before drinking. You see that the spring water is clear, boil it back and pour a cup into it. You will know how much dregs there is in the cup at home. Having said that, this spring water really nourishes people. The scum in it is not actually bacteria, nor is the water contaminated, but some mineral salts. Natural spring water has been slowly filtered for thousands of years. The mineral salts in the water, such as calcium and magnesium, have reached a saturated state. When boiled or frozen, the temperature and pressure change, and those salts will precipitate as tiny white crystals, which is what is called the scumbag. It is not harmful to the human body, but if you drink it directly without burning, it will cause diarrhea easily. That's it? Pei Jingshu expressed that she had given up studying. She reached out and held a handful of water, sighing again at the coolness of the well water. There is a spring bath in the city. The water is from the spring there. It is living water, and it is cooler than this one. Gu Huayan smiled and said. If it weren't for our special status, it would actually be good to go there for a swim. There's another thing Gu Huayan didn't say, that is, the main thing is that it's free and doesn't charge money. Let's just say, free, running water, ice-cold spring water swimming pool, how tempting it is. Although it's a bit far away, Gu Huayan has been there several times before, but in the future he should. Rarely went. This made Gu Huayan couldn't help but sigh. People are afraid of being famous, but pigs are afraid of being strong. I'm afraid that when I'm swimming in the swimming pool, I bump into a passerby and ask him to sign his name in the water to take a photo or something, or maybe I'm changing clothes in the fitting room and see each other naked and the other person says, I'm your fan, you, how embarrassing. It was even more impossible to take Pei Jingshu there. Gu Huayan couldn't bear to let others see her in a swimsuit. Only he can see it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 189. On the way back from the wellhead, Pei Jingshu wanted to learn to ride an electric bicycle, so Gu Huiyan protected her and rode for a while, teaching her step by step. There are very tall and lush trees on both sides of the concrete road. Even if the sun is so bright, only a few rays of sunlight occasionally shine through the gaps in the leaves. In the small village, on weekdays and in the afternoon, almost no one would pass by. It was not the spring plowing or autumn harvest season, so there were no people in the fields on a hot day. Quiet and very comfortable. There is an empty cornfield nearby. There is wind today, and the leaves will occasionally rustle, and Pei Jingshu's long black hair will also blow from time to time. The weather is hot, but the wind is not unbearable under the shade of the trees. Be careful. Gu Huiyan was behind, holding the back seat of the electric car, letting her sit on it and turn the switch little by little. To be honest, accidentally, Pei Jingshu found that she seemed to have really fallen in love with such a quiet and leisure pastoral life. It felt like she had never experienced such a life before, and it was very different from her current life. Of course, compared to the environment, she prefers Gu Huiyan who brought her to such an environment. She thought that only such a comfortable environment could cultivate such a sunny character as Gu Huiyan, right? Also, quite enviable. Buzzing. At this time, several cars passed them on the road and stopped not far from them not long after passing by. Until the evening, when Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu finished riding electric bicycles, these vehicles were so stunned that they never left. Time passed, and before he knew it, Gu Huiyan took Pei Jingshu to play until the evening. The boy hasn't come back from shopping yet. Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu have gone back, but Guzun and Pei Jingshu's assistant have not returned yet. Gu Huiyan called him and asked them why they hadn't come back yet. In fact, the old man knew better. He was the one who shouted to Guzun not to bring the assistant back until it was dark. Not long after the call was made, Guzun and the others came back. The assistant pulled Pei Jingshu and kept complaining, saying that brother Gu Huiyan took her around the vegetable market on a hot day, wasting time like crazy, and almost gave her a heat stroke. After hearing the details, Pei Jingshu couldn't help but laugh. When he arrived at the place, Guzun first took his assistant around to check the quality of the things. He walked from east to west and finally bought a few kilograms of mutton, and then walked from west to east to buy a few pieces of mutton, onions and some vegetables. After buying vegetables, he said he didn't buy pork or other meat, and went back to buy meat. After finally buying the meat, I got back to the car. I said that the charcoal for barbecue at home might not be enough, so I went back to buy charcoal. You're back after buying charcoal, and you didn't buy any alcohol for ignition. After finally buying alcohol, he came back and said that his brother told him to buy some horseback fish and fins, so he had to go back and buy these again. I ran again and again. At first, the assistant followed him and thought about how to help get something, otherwise wouldn't the evening meal be in vain? But after running back and forth several times, she slowly began to realize that something was wrong. Where was this guy walking her? The weather is too hot. The vegetable market here is still under a large greenhouse. There is no air conditioning but only fans. It is so hot that the assistant almost suffers from heat stroke. When she realized that Guzun was walking her, she stopped running and simply went to cool off in the sports car. But after waiting for a long time, I didn't see Guzun coming back from shopping. She went all the way to find out that this kid had gone to play games in a nearby internet cafe. Make her angry. Isn't this just delaying time? The most disgusting thing is that he walked around and said he wanted to take a look first, but he ended up buying meat and vegetables from a few fixed stalls. He was very familiar with the bosses there, and he could obviously go directly from the beginning. I bought it in the past. What a complaint between her and Pei Jingshu. Local people from Menching usually know where to buy things when they go to the vegetable market. Gu must have walked her on purpose. He. Pei Jingshu just laughed, and she didn't blame Gu Zun, but Gu Huiyan. You boy. Gu Lila just went up and kicked him. How can you go to an internet cafe while shopping and leave others hanging there? Also, who allowed you to go to an internet cafe? How old are you? Are you an adult? Gu Huiyan chased Gu Zun and beat him. Didn't you tell me not to come back until dark? You. Gu Zun looked aggrieved and almost got shaken by Gu Huiyan. You still say? Gu Huiyan grabbed a broom and chased him out. Assistant. Aiming. She wanted to say stop pretending, I've already seen that you don't want me to come back as a light bulb, okay. My back molars are all broken. A plant. Haha. Pei Jingshu was so amused by these two brothers who were like drama queens, she just wanted to say that they were indeed Gu Huiyan. I feel that only Gu Huiyan and his brother can do this kind of thing. They are a bit wicked, mean, and so funny. The two brothers put on a you chase me drama. In the end, Gu Huiyan used his money power to call Gu Zun to come over and apologize to his assistant sister, and then took him into the kitchen to cut meat skewers. In the evening, Gu Huiyan planned to have a barbecue on the roof. He used to do this at home. He bought some meat and vegetables, processed them and marinated them, and then lit the charcoal stove to grill them. At noon, Gu Huiyan asked Pei Jingshu if she could eat it. After all, she was an artist. She had to control her figure. Singers generally shouldn't eat too greasy food. Pei Jingshu said generously that it didn't matter. Finally, no one would care about her sister anymore. Of course she had to eat when she should, but she would definitely not eat more. She also had strict self-discipline on herself. The barbecue had obviously not been used for a while and was gathering dust. Gu Huiyan connected the water pipe and flushed it before calling Gu Zun to light the fire. Crash. The weather was so hot that when he was washing the oven, Gu Huiyan also washed the yard. The cold tap water soaked the cement floor in the yard, and a damp smell hit her face, lowering the temperature in the yard. Pei Jingshu didn't dislike the smell very much, and even felt refreshed. For a moment, Gu Huiyan would think that if it was not Pei Jingshu but Shang Zuoyan who came today, he might have teased her by flushing the water pipe at her. At that time, Shang Zuoyan would definitely scream, hit, and scold him, and it wouldn't be a problem to chase him out for 5 miles. Of course, Gu Huiyan just had the idea for a moment that Shang Zuoyan was busy touring recently, so how could he have time to visit his remote rural village? What's more, thinking about Shang Zuoyan in front of Pei Jingshu, Gu Huiyan reached out to the water pipe, took a handful of water, washed his face, and then shook those thoughts out of his mind. Having said that, Gu Huiyan's younger brother is simply a tool man here. He buys groceries and lights fires. He is ordered to do everything, and he has no human rights at all. Gu Zun couldn't help but complain to Pei Jingshu, but Gu Huiyan kicked him away. Night. The roof of a 2-story building. Gu Huiyan put on a pair of gloves, lit the charcoal fire, turned the kebabs in front of the oven, and sprinkled cumin on them. He looked very skillful in his movements. A handful of mutton skewers gradually take shape under the charcoal fire. The aroma of the mutton slowly comes out, and some oil will appear on the fat meat, making the whole skewers look very attractive. Sprinkle in some cumin and salt and that flavor, hey, forget it. The inner screams are endless, authentic. If the old Beijing people want to eat this, it will be considered a Chinese New Year. After staying in the capital for several years, Gu Huiyan knows that the people in the capital really don't eat good food, especially the old people in the capital. They can pick out a piece of last night's pork shreds between their teeth with a toothpick. It's a good dish to go with wine, don't you believe it? People don't think it's a big deal, and they even say, "This is called being particular." Laughing to death. During the barbecue, there would be charcoal fireworks from time to time, so Gu Huiyan took a cattail leaf fan at hand and fanned it gently. The weather was a bit hot. Although the temperature had dropped a lot since there was no sun at night, the outdoor temperature was still not low. Standing in front of the oven, Gu Huiyan was covered in sweat, and the light on him seemed to have been highlighted. Kaka. Pei Jingshu couldn't help but pick up her phone and take a photo. She had been taking photos a lot throughout the day. She was just an ordinary little girl who wanted to preserve the wonderful moments between the two of them. After grilling the mutton skewers in his hand, Gu Huiyan immediately sent them to Pei Jingshu. Delicious. Pei Jingshu took a bite and nodded repeatedly, a little surprised that the barbecue was so delicious. Sprinkled with cumin, the roasted lamb with a slightly charred skin enters the mouth. The mutton smell and the smoky taste of the charcoal grill are superimposed with the aroma of barbecue ingredients and cumin, as if it is fried in the taste buds. Opened. Why do you look like you haven't eaten before? Gu Huiyan asked funny. Well, indeed not. Pei Jingshu was a little embarrassed. Normally, Pei Jingshu would definitely not eat this kind of charcoal grilled food. Her sister said it was unhealthy and unhygienic. In the past, Pei Jingshu would pass by a roadside stall at night after work and smell the smell, and she would occasionally want to try it, but she never had the chance, and she didn't dare to say it. Unexpectedly, the first time I ate it was here. It was Gu Huiyan who baked it for her. Ah! Gu Huiyan stared. Is there anyone in the world who has never had barbecue? Stop making such a fuss, Mr. Gu. The assistant couldn't help but remind. If I were here, Sister Pei wouldn't have a chance to see these things. Indeed, if Pei Ya was here and I heard that Gu Huiyan was going to take Pei Jingshu to have a barbecue, it would be nice if he didn't show off his hair, but let her eat? What a joke. Gu Huiyan was a little silent for a while, looking at Pei Jingshu with a somewhat distressed look. Then you eat more, I've prepared a lot. Gu Huiyan called to Gu Zun, who had taken over his position as barbecue master, and said. Roast some vegetables, a little of everything, hurry up, do you hear me? Oh, I know. Gu Zun was covered in sweat, rolled his eyes repeatedly, and mumbled. He will command people. I went to eat with my girlfriend, and asked him to barbecue here. Who is he? Upstairs, it was noisy, but quite interesting. It is worth mentioning that in the afternoon, several cars on the road where Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu were riding electric bikes stopped near Gu Huiyan's house. The car window is open. Click, click, click. Several people in the car were holding cameras and taking photos of Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu, who were having an outdoor barbecue upstairs. It was already very late when the barbecue was finished, so Gu Huiyan called the driver downstairs to send Pei Jingshu and his assistant back. In fact, Pei Jingshu plans to live here. There are rooms to stay in, air conditioning, and they are very clean. But she didn't bring a change of clothes, so she still had to do some skincare when she went home at night. The process is complicated and troublesome. I had no choice but to go back. You clean up, I'll take them back. Gu Huiyan left his brother to clean up the mess, while he changed his clothes and got into the car with Pei Jingshu and his assistant. Is this really good? Pei Jingshu felt a little sorry for this brother-in-law. Gu Huiyan said carelessly. He won't be tired with this little thing. Besides, the pocket money I gave him is enough to hire someone to clean it for several months. Gu Zunzun's new mobile phone was all bought by Gu Huiyan. Sometimes he had to do what he needed to do, and his brother couldn't see him outside. Moreover, the few group photos he took today and Pei Jingshu's V-letter are enough to show off to his friends. This guy is quite capable, so what's the point of waiting on them? Mentioning the V-letter, Gu Huiyan suddenly thought of something and sent a voice message to his brother. Don't give your sister-in-law's V-letter to anyone else, or I'll twist your head off. I'm afraid that these vain teenagers would give Pei Jingshu's private V-letter to others just to show off, which would put Gu Huiyan in a difficult situation. Pei Jingshu, who was sitting aside, shook her head and looked at the scene with a smile. She always liked Gu Huiyan's sense of proportion. He was very considerate and detailed, and knew how to take care of her feelings and not cause her any trouble. Their status as celebrities would bring them a lot of unnecessary troubles, but Gu Huiyan tried his best to eliminate them one by one, which made her quite happy. Especially when he said "your sister-in-law" to his brother. "Take me to see my aunt tomorrow if you have time," Pei Jingshu said gently. "We're already at the door of our house. It's not appropriate to not see you for a while." She also knew that she and Gu Huiyan had only been together for a short time, and it was inappropriate to meet her parents in such a short period of time. Gu Ma's shop is also very busy. Everyone on the internet knows that she can't finish frying the skewers, she can't finish them at all. But we finally arrived at the door of the house. My brothers were all seen, but my mother didn't see me. Is it normal? Okay. Gu Huiyan thought for a moment and then readily agreed. At worst, the store will close early tomorrow, but it's not a big problem anyway. They are chatting here. Teacher Xiaogu, what are they doing over there? As the car passed by a forest, the assistant suddenly asked Gu Huiyan curiously. Gu Huiyan turned his head and glanced around. In the woods, there seemed to be some people holding flashlights or using mobile phones with flashlights everywhere, touching something unknown. Maybe he's touching that cicada monkey. Gu Huiyan thought for a moment and found a name that Pei Jingshu and the others could probably understand. Cicada monkeys are what they looked like before they turned into cicadas. They are usually found in the woods in summer. They are high in protein and are delicious when you take them home, whether fried or baked. They are much more delicious than silkworm chrysalises. The price is also very expensive. Gu Huiyan remembers that it can be sold for more than £100. If you catch more and sell them, you can sell them for a lot of money. Gu Huiyan remembered catching it with his friends when he was a child. At that time, it didn't seem to be as expensive as it is now, but after the summer vacation, he would definitely have pocket money, which was quite nourishing. It is a local specialty, just like the fungus after the rain when I was in Yunnan before. Speaking of which, Gu Huiyan had almost forgotten the days when he caught cicada monkeys when he was a child. Oh. After listening to Gu Huiyan's explanation, Pei Jingshu and his assistant looked stunned. Pei Jingshu was obviously a little interested because she had never seen such a thing before. These city children are always interested in the fun things in the countryside. How about I take you down to have a look? Anyway, it wasn't too late, it was around 9 o'clock, and the way back to the hotel wasn't very far, it only took over half an hour and 40 minutes. It is common for celebrities and artists to stay up all night. If Pei Jingshu went home early, she might not go to bed early, so she might as well have some fun. It's so easy to come here. I don't know whether I'll come here tomorrow or not. All right. Pei Jingshu agreed happily. She felt that Gu Huiyan always understood her very well. She often thought that she was embarrassed to say it, but Gu Huiyan guessed it. Master driver. Gu Huiyan asked the driver to stop. There happened to be a bag of shopping in the car. Gu Huiyan picked one up, took out his mobile phone and turned on the flashlight, then went in with Pei Jingshu and his assistant. It was pitch dark in the woods, and some people nearby carried flashlights to catch the monkeys. Some were looking for them in the trees, while others were squatting on the ground to look for them in small holes or cracks in the soil. Others were holding some weird homemade tools, tweezers, and the like. It was dark, and there were no lights nearby, so no one recognized Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu. Occasionally, the chirping of cicadas and the cries of some insects could be heard nearby. Being mixed in such a team made Pei Jingshu feel very fresh. As a matter of fact, there are really a lot of mosquitoes. These things are usually found on trees or in the ground. They climb up the trees from the ground. Gu Huiyan turned on the flashlight and held Pei Jingshu's hand to help her light the way. He walked slowly and explained as he walked. There's one over there. This kid was considered to have quick eyesight and quick hands. He saw something crawling on a tree not far away, rushed over and grabbed it into the bag with his bare hands. "Let me see." Pei Jingshu wanted to see it, so Gu Huiyan held up a bag to show her. In the bag, a cocky brown, fat, rugby ball-shaped insect with many legs was squirming. "We're lucky, we just happened to bump into one. If I had to come at this time before, I would have been caught." Gu Huiyan grinned, not embarrassed to say the following words. What he actually wanted to say was that when he was a child, he came late several times and everything in the trees was taken away, so he had to put his ideas into the ground. Even the shallower ones in the ground were all caught, and they could only aim at the deeper potholes. How can we force cicada monkeys out of the ground without water? P. This matter was a bit indecent, so Gu Huiyan didn't say anything about it. He also wanted to save face. "Is this really edible?" The assistant had a cold expression on his face and quickly took it from Sister Pei's hand and gave it to Gu Huiyan, as if he didn't dare to touch it. They girls seem to find it difficult to understand those who eat insects, especially silkworm chrysalises and cicada monkeys. Silkworm chrysalises are better, after all, that thing looks like a cocoon, but this cicada monkey looks like a living insect. Wouldn't there be some organs or something inside? Can that thing really be fried and eaten directly? Gu Huiyan couldn't help but smile when he heard this. "Let me tell you this thing has grown up eating the juice and dew of tree roots. It is cleaner than you." As soon as these words came out, Pook. Pei Jingshu couldn't help laughing. The assistant was speechless on the spot and felt that he was being understood. But in fact, anyone who searches for the cicada monkey will know that apart from being drilled out of the soil, it has nothing to do with dirty. People can eat food everywhere in Hex technology. This cicada monkey grew up eating tree root sap and dew. It is cleaner than humans, and even its internal organs are better than humans. You said you know that monkeys are dirty, but that cat poop coffee is actually made by cats. That sounds nice. Civet cats can eat anything they pull out, and it's very high-end and very expensive. How? Those pulled out are all high-end products and can be eaten. How can the cicada grow up eating tree root juice and dew and not be able to eat them? What a joke. What's more, you are not allowed to eat this thing directly. It has to be fried or grilled. After high-temperature sterilization, any bacteria will be gone. Not only is it edible, it's also delicious. Let's go first. There's not much here, just experience it. Seeing that they were late, there were no cicada monkeys in the nearby trees, and they didn't bring water. Gu Huiyan couldn't really urinate into the underground hole in front of Pei Jingshu, so he simply said, "My mom sells this in her shop. If you want to eat it, I'll fry some for you to try." Fried cicada monkeys are always indispensable in local fried skewers restaurants, and this one is the most authentic. Good. Pei Jingshu nodded understandingly and followed Gu Huiyan into the car. This day, although the weather was very hot, she felt really happy. A very fulfilling, sweet and happy day. At the same time, next door, on major social platforms, Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu are also dating again, and are trending again. As soon as this hot search term came out, the OnlyFans of Pei Jingshu's family exploded. This old man took their sister Pei to swim in the stream, ride an electric bicycle, barbecue in the open air, and catch cicada monkeys. Please. Look at these. Can they not explode? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 190. Hashtag Gu Huiyan takes Pei Jingshu back to the village. Hashtag. My family members laughed like crazy. Not only did Gu Huiyan take Sister Pei home, he also took her back to the village. We waded into streams and rode electric bikes during the day, and barbecued outdoors in the evening. We even caught cicada monkeys on the way back. What I'm saying is, Gu Huiyan, you idiot, you really treat our sister Pei like an ordinary person, don't you? I received a temporary assignment to photograph Gu Huiyan. I was so dumbfounded by this operation. Can you believe that he took Pei Jingshu to experience rural life? Hot searches, marketing accounts, paparazzi. A collective video was posted to condemn Gu Huiyan. Who is Pei Jingshu? She is a top-notch female star in the domestic entertainment industry with good looks and tens of millions of fans across the internet. He is a powerful singer who has just won the title of King of Singer in Singer of the Times, defeating all senior singers. It is the purest bouquet of white moonlight and jasmine in the hearts of countless fans. Such a girl deserves the whole world, and I don't know how many people wish they could give her the best they have. Things related to her should be big brands, luxury goods, jewelry, etc. But what about Gu Huiyan? This old man just took her back to his hometown and the small county town, but he also took her back to the village. Another trip to the stream and another time to catch the monkey. How can you not make these fans feel bad? The internet is full of curses. Gu Huiyan is such an idiot and you want me, Sister Pei, to suffer with you. So on a 40-degree hot day, you take her to ride an electric scooter outside. An electric scooter. I have long said that Sister Pei will not have a good life following him. Why is Baoquan digging wild vegetables? Sister Pei, think about it. I think it's better to separate as early as possible. As a fan of Gu Huiyan's family, I want to say, well, I feel that Sister Pei is miserable following him. Ha ha ha. There was a wave of feeling sorry for Pei Jingshu all over the internet. Everyone thinks, how can a top-notch female star be able to mix with those fun activities in the countryside? This is outrageous. Gu Huiyan is too much. What is the difference between this and taking Sister Pei to fried cow dung? What's even more exaggerated is that some paparazzi broke the news that Pei Jingshu accompanied Gu Huiyan to play without makeup all day long. That's Bai Yueguang Pei Jingshu. She has no makeup. It's 40 degrees on a hot day. Accompany Gu Huiyan outdoors. Play. Gu Huiyan, you uncle. You, beep beep beep. I'm going to hum you. Netizens who realized this immediately started to criticize, including all the ugly, unclean, and despicable posts. Some people say that if Gu Huiyan survives this time, what will he have to eat? He's too shitty. Pei Jingshu's side. There were paparazzi who followed me to the village to secretly take photos. I really didn't expect that. Pei Jingshu, who had already put on a mask, was sitting in front of the dressing mirror applying hand cream. The assistant was holding a tablet and looking up and down, secretly speechless. Who would have thought that those paparazzi could follow him to the village? It's funny, when Gu Huiyan showed up at his family's fried skewers shop, didn't he ask for the key from Gu's mother? Everyone at the scene knew that Gu Huiyan was going back to his hometown, but no one really knew where Gu Huiyan's hometown was. Gu's mother is a smart person. She didn't reveal even the slightest bit of information when she was forced by the people at the scene. She would definitely not let them disturb her son and daughter-in-law when they returned to their hometown to play. Instead, the video was posted online and the paparazzi found the location. Then, a few hours later, some paparazzi actually went to Gu Huiyan's hometown village to take pictures. When it comes to dedication, even Pei Jingshu has to give them a thumbs up. In fact, it's not that they are dedicated, the main reason is that Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu have been so enthusiastic about going home together in the past 2 days, and they will definitely not lose money by following them to shoot. Isn't this? Just the exposure of this information is enough for them to make money. Of course, no one is taking the lead in this wave of slander against Gu Huiyan. This wave is purely natural anger and resentment. This kid took their white moonlight back to the village. Look at what he did. Who doesn't want to scold me? They are so angry. The assistant showed the tablet to Pei Jingshu. Pei Jingshu, who was applying a facial mask, shook her head and chuckled, saying, "I didn't think I was so distressing. As far as she is concerned, she had a lot of fun today." The internet said that the weather here is 40 degrees, but in fact it is not that hot, that is, it is like 35 or 36 degrees. There is wind under the shade of the tree, and it is not hot or sunny, it is natural. The environment is definitely more comfortable than in an air-conditioned room. Not to mention the stream is very cool. As for catching the cicada monkey, someone on the internet said that in that kind of environment, there are both flies and mosquitoes, and they can bite her. But it was clear that they got out of the car and caught a cicada monkey to experience it before going back. How could Gu Huiyan be willing to let her feed the mosquitoes there? In short, it is an exaggeration on the internet. Those people didn't mean anything bad when they scolded him, and they didn't really scold Gu Huiyan. They mainly wanted to condemn him and feel sorry for Pei Jingshu. But it's just not nice to say it. Even though she was having a great time, Gu Huiyan was scolded, which Pei Jingshu couldn't allow. Then, after thinking about it for a moment, Pei Jingshu took her mobile phone and found a few photos she took today in the photo album, including those in the subway, walking in the stream, Gu Huiyan grilling skewers in front of the barbecue, and so on. 9 were collected. A complete 9-square grid. Posted a Weibo. With text. She says, "Although I don't understand many of them, I am very happy. Today is very fulfilling and very happy." Once the blog post is published, in just a few seconds, the comments and likes below started to increase. "Sister Pei, are you still happy? I feel so sad. Baby, come back, don't follow that old 6th division, he will really take you to the fields to farm next. Is that old man whispering to you? Tell me, I will kill him. Sister Pei, if you are threatened, just blink." Netizens did not believe what Pei Jingshu said at all. Pei Jingshu was not angry. Instead, she replied to a comment that said, "Next step, he will really take you to farm. No, he won't let it go." Because of Pei Jingshu's reply, this comment was immediately pushed to the top. A group of netizens below were shocked. "Sister Pei, what good can I do to you? Oh my god, are you acting like this now? Okay, let's get out of here, Jaime. She's so sweet. We don't need to feel bad at all." After a while, Pei Jingshu's post became a hot search on Weibo, called Hashtag Pei Jingshu, he is reluctant to leave me to farm. Hashtag. Originally, the entire internet was reporting Gu Huiyan, but because of Pei Jingshu's Weibo post and the replies in the comment area, the group of netizens who were crazy about condemning Gu Huiyan suddenly became silent. They realized belatedly that they had been having trouble for a long time. It turns out they are the clowns. They feel sorry for Pei Jingshu here and condemn Gu Huiyan. Maybe now Pei Jingshu is lying in Gu Huiyan's arms and laughing with him about the online comments. So what the hell do they feel sorry for? What's the matter with them? This is the little fun of the two of them. They are the ones who are the clowns, right? Realize this. The glass hearts of these people are broken, okay? Besides, in fact, judging from what Pei Jingshu posted, the photos of Gu Huiyan taken from her perspective, and the scenery, the country life of the day when Gu Huiyan took Pei Jingshu back to his hometown was far from as bad as the online rhythm made it sound. The scenery in Gu Huiyan's hometown is pretty good, with green cornfields, paths under the shade of trees, clear springs in the mountains. All give people a very comfortable feeling. The back of Gu Huiyan holding Pei Jingshu's hand and wearing slippers while walking in the creek, and the back of Gu Huiyan wearing a cattail fan and wearing short sleeves and sweating in front of the barbecue under the night light. It's true, it's quite boyfriend-like. Looking at the photos, you feel that from Pei Jingshu's perspective, she also feels very sweet and happy. After taking it in a little bit, I feel like my heart is about to be healed. Slowly, the voices of online newspapers began to turn somewhat neutral, and then slowly turned to favorable. A discerning person clearly pointed out that it is actually the safest and most comfortable way for Gu Huiyan to travel with Pei Jingshu like this. If he really takes Pei Jingshu to visit their famous local attractions and scenic spots and attracts onlookers, then he will really be treating Pei Jingshu. Shu is irresponsible. In the countryside, there are few people and no one knows them. They can live a world of two people and be very comfortable. A group of people who have lived in the city since childhood made it clear that they actually yearn for this kind of life. Pei Jingshu's family has been well off since she was a child, so this kind of life should be quite new to her. There are also a group of people who grew up in the countryside like Gu Huiyan and said that Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu lived a life like wading in streams, riding electric bikes under the shade of trees, and having outdoor barbecues in two-story buildings. Really didn't know there was one. Many. Shoe. Clothes. People who have never experienced it will never understand. These things will be more interesting than playing script killing or werewolf killing in the city. They are natural and comfortable. Even if the weather is hot and you sweat a little, it is better than being in an air-conditioned room. Happy. It is precisely because of these sounds. Gu Huiyan's simplicity was once again talked about. Before, on the show Crystal Love Season, some people always said that Gu Huiyan was just acting on occasion, and it was all scripts given by the show team. Otherwise, why would he do things so frequently? But now, people have gone home. Back to his hometown. These things you do in your own home and away from the camera can no longer be said to be just for fun, right? Now that he has been exposed, these things will really give people a very down-to-earth feeling. Although he is a popular artist, he still takes economy class or the subway when he goes home. The greatest pleasure is to go to the village creek to catch cicada monkeys. It's quite impressive. It's also funny. At first, the whole internet was reporting on Gu Huiyan, but as they chatted, it turned out to be praising Gu Huiyan. There are some things that many people can only see on the surface. Under the surface, the most primitive innocence and simplicity are often hidden. That night. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x91. Gu Huiyan's system points gave him a big critical hit. Walk. Gu Huiyan was stunned when he heard the system prompt. This system was really the first to do so much. Now let's talk. Gu Huiyan's system points already totaled nearly 40,000. In terms of points, he is almost becoming a big player. By the way, the points needed to redeem new songs from the album are enough now, and Gu Huiyan can also start to consider whether to add them to other aspects, such as singing skills and so on. The tone has reached LV6, and other things should follow suit. Well, that's great. Just thinking about it. Ding dong. A message suddenly came to Gu Huiyan's cell phone. It was from Pei Jingshu. When he first saw her, Gu Huiyan thought Pei Jingshu wanted to ask him where he was going to play tomorrow, but she actually said, "I may not be able to stay with you tomorrow." Half an hour ago. Hotel. Okay, you can rest, I'm going back. The assistant finished taking care of Pei Jingshu, packed her things and planned to go out. In front of the dressing mirror, Pei Jingshu looked at her tender and pretty face, and suddenly looked forward to where Gu Huiyan would take her to play tomorrow. She took her mobile phone and planned to play a video to Gu Huiyan to ask and chat, but... Sister, why are you here? On the other side of the door, the assistant who pushed the door open suddenly seemed to be talking to someone. Before Pei Jingshu could ask what was wrong, Pei Ya rushed in looking angry. Sister. Pei Jingshu quickly put down her phone and stood up tremblingly with an expression of she has done something wrong with a guilty conscience. You. Pei Ya gritted her teeth and looked dusty. The suitcase was still outside but not brought in. She pointed a finger at Pei Jingshu and was so angry that she couldn't speak for a long time. God knows how angry she was when she saw the hot search tonight. Look what Pei Jingshu did with that little boy. Forget about riding an electric bike and wading through streams, what's the point of eating barbecue and catching cicada monkeys? Especially eating barbecue. She usually wouldn't allow Pei Jingshu to even smell that smell. Gu Huiyan took her to have a meal, and she didn't know how much she ate. Is this true? The most terrible thing is that the people on the internet are reporting Gu Huiyan, and she even posts on Weibo to help Gu Huiyan. Can an artist's Weibo be freely posted? Do you know the impact? Have you discussed it with me? The wings are hardened. You really have hardened wings. You. Pei Ya pointed at Pei Jingshu and lectured her for a long time. Finally, when he was angry enough, he said, "Come back with me tomorrow, the flight is in the morning." Ah! Pei Jingshu, who had been scolded for most of the day without speaking, subconsciously retorted, "I do not want." "You still don't want it? You want to piss me off, Pei Jingshu, to death." Pei Ya's lungs almost exploded with anger. She was so angry that she took her mobile phone to call Gu Huiyan and scolded him together. Don't. Pei Jingshu had no choice but to compromise temporarily. The two sisters calmed down for a while, and then Pei Ya explained to Pei Jingshu that after winning the singing title of Singer of the Times and the popularity of Little Lucky, Pei Jingshu has really had too much work recently, and the schedule was too full and there was no time to play at all. She was in the period of rising career and could not be willful. Being a star is what you want to be, being an artist is what you choose. Now that you no longer have to work, you have to be in love. Do you think you are worthy? Give Pei Jingshu some KFC, bah. UFO, bah, it's a KTV. Pei Jingshu is very sensible, and she also understands that what she is doing is wrong, but she just doesn't want to spend so much time away from Gu Huiyan. Next year. Feeling sorry for her sister, Pei Ya finally patted her shoulder and said, "After you're busy this year, slow down your work next year and you'll have more time, eh?" Give me a slap in the face, Pei Ya no CPU people. That's all. Forced, Pei Jingshu told Gu Huiyan that she was leaving early tomorrow morning. She didn't regret having fun, she just regretted that she only spent one day with Gu Huiyan, and I clearly said tonight that I would meet Gu Huiyan's mother tomorrow, but she just left like this. It felt very outrageous. It's okay, no problem. Fortunately, Gu Huiyan was more understanding, so he was very happy that Pei Jingshu could come, and he didn't expect her to stay a few more days. The more Gu Huiyan behaves like this, the more Pei Jingshu feels sorry for him. She agreed to stay for 2 days, but she will leave after 1 day. Perhaps seeing her apology, Gu Huiyan said, "If you really feel sorry for it, sing a chorus for me when I record a new song later." Okay. Pei Jingshu agreed without even thinking about it. Pei Ya was nearby at the time. She stared directly after hearing this and said to her heart, "Do you know how much our Pei Jingshu gets for singing choruses for others? You didn't say whether the song was signed or not, and you didn't say how much it would cost, so you just casually asked me to sing the chorus? Are you kidding me? Why are you farting here?" After hanging up the phone, Pei Ya angrily told Pei Jingshu a lot, saying that Gu Huiyan was taking advantage of her, asking her to sing the chorus to promote her new album, and that she wanted to have sex for free without giving him any money. Pei Jingshu didn't think much about it at all. Her sister was usually responsible for business matters, but in fact she didn't care much even if she knew this. Also, who in the entire industry doesn't know the quality of Gu Huiyan's work? I don't know how many first-tier singers would like to sing a chorus for him for free. She was about to refute her sister. Ding dong. Over the phone, Gu Huiyan sent a song and lyrics. The song is called, "Missing is a Disease." In The design of the chorus does have both male and female voices, but the female voice is actually dispensable. Anyone can sing. It's not at all what Pei thought before, the type where her chorus is the most eye-catching. Gu Huiyan also sent a message to her to sign the song. This song is considered a song for the two of them. As for the cost, Gu Huiyan is not sure about it. He will call the company to connect with her team in the future. See these. A moment of emotion flashed through Pei Jingshu's watery eyes. So, in fact, Gu Huiyan asked her to help sing the chorus tonight simply because he didn't want her to have too much psychological burden on leaving early, right? Not only that, he wanted her to sing a few dispensable choruses for this song, and he also had to pay her a fee. Thinking of this, Pei Jingshu suddenly felt a little sorry for Gu Huiyan. Elder sister. The sister in front of her kept saying bad things about Gu Huiyan. Pei Jingshu silently picked up the message from Gu Huiyan on her phone and said to her very seriously. You really thought too badly of him.